The Mets have been soaring in 2007, but they were grounded last night, shut out by Barry Zito and the Giants. Tonight, the Giants played their final game of the season at Shea Stadium. Last chance for Barry Bonds to hit a home run in what has been his least favorite launching pad. At Shea Stadium in New York, the New York Mets play the San Francisco Giants. This Mets game on SNY is presented in high definition by IO Digital Cable, the leader in HD. Do you see in HD? And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Shea Stadium. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you tonight. The assignment to go after Barry Bonds tonight belongs to Orlando Hernandez, and El Duque has been just, well, he's been off the charts. He was pitching great before he went on the disabled list, then came back last week against Florida. What did he do? He threw 6 shutout innings.
And he was amazing against Florida. He was mixing in that great slider. He really had those young hitters for the Marlins off balance. He now has run a streak of 19 straight scoreless innings. If you take away the Washington start, he has been just about unhittable.
Right-hand hitters hitting only 123 against El Duque this year. His mound opponent tonight will be young Matt Cain. The Mets saw him once earlier this year in San Francisco. They hit him around a little bit, but Cain has got great talent.
He's got great talent. He's one of those guys that's going to eat up a lot of innings for these Giants, and they've given him a 4-year contract. That's what they think of him, and he's going to try to continue the great San Francisco pitching that they've had all week.
Well, Tim Lincecum pitched the opening game of the series, was impressive. Last night, Barry Zito was the good. 7 shutout innings as the Mets were shut out for the first time this year.
And he did it with that great curveball, just 12-6. Had the Met hitters looking at it all night long. Zito, one of those special breed of pitchers that when he gets that curveball going, it's almost unhittable.
And when we were in San Francisco earlier this year, Kevin Burkhardt caught up to Barry Zito to talk about that signature curve.
Yeah, I've been throwing it since I was young, 7 years old, and maybe I just had a feel for it, or I was throwing it the right way or something. But it's always been a pitch that came pretty effortlessly to me, and I think that's the key, is to throw it effortlessly, because at times you try to throw it hard and make it break, and it doesn't break at all. And when you just relax and stay loose, it's when it's at its best.
How do you grip it? Is there a certain way you grip?
I just hold it like this. I think most guys hold it here. They kind of go off the middle finger and they throw it here, but I actually split the seams here and throw it mostly off my first finger, and then I just have my bottom thumb here on this seam and just snap it.
Is that something that you found? Like, how'd you come about splitting the seam? Is that something just by experimentation it worked for you?
I've just been doing it for 20 years, so I forget how I learned it.
Well, it's working. Keep up the good work, and thanks.
Thanks a lot.
And it certainly is a magnificent pitch.
Well, unique grip, unique curveball, and the great thing I admire about Zito, could have pitched in any era. Goes deep into games, does not miss his starts.
Well, tonight it's Orlando Hernandez for the Mets and Matt Cain for the Giants. Rubber game of 3 as the series wraps up at Shea on a warm night. Back with all the action on SNY. Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Barbados, proud sponsors of the New York Mets. Experience the authentic Caribbean. By Ford and your tri-state Ford dealers. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. By Richmond County Savings Bank, a member of the NYCB family of banks. Visit them at nycbfamily.com. And by IO Digital Cable, the leaders in HD and presenting sponsor of the Mets in high definition. Do you see in HD? Orlando Hernandez warming up like Eddie Feiner with his softball. And he can throw some soft tosses with that ephus curve that he breaks out from time to time. But he is a master of all pitches at all arm angles, and he tries to continue the fine pitching we've seen in this series. Great defense as well. Clutch hitting. Carlos Delgado winning in the 12th inning on Tuesday night. And then last night, Omar Vizquel and Barry Bonds combining, Barry Zito combining to beat the Mets. Mets will try and get the rubber game tonight. First pitch coming up.
Hi, I'm Tom Glavine of the New York Mets. Welcome to the new Citi Field, the Field of Dreams. New York's union carpenters and contractors making it happen. They're building our new stadium with safety and quality, building our communities and providing careers. Union carpenters and contractors mean quality, safety, and opportunity for New Yorkers. New York's home team is building the future. And even better, they're building a perfect place to pitch a no-hitter. Quality, safety, opportunity. Visit www.builditunion.com for a free Citi Field pin.
Well, it's a pretty night here at Shea Stadium. Very warm day today in New York, although there are some storms on the way.
Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
You know, guys, last Friday in Miami was a very emotional night, not because El Duque was coming off the disabled list, but because Angel Diaz, his pitching coach back in Cuba, got a chance to see him pitch live for the first time since 1995 when he defected the country. Very, very emotional for Duque, and he used that as an energy, too, to go out and pitch like he did. In fact, 2 days later, it got even more emotional because Diaz and Peterson got together and watched Duque throw a bullpen session, and you know what? Other than being emotional, they talked a lot of shop, which was very interesting.
What was interesting was that Angel was explaining, and as well as El Duque, that in Cuba they never threw a traditional changeup as we throw here, where you have a certain grip that you throw a fastball, but the ball reduces speed. Where in Cuba, they would go like real fast and then try to throw a pitch real slow. It was like kind of like a trick, a tricky type of windup, and then throw a slow pitch. And so they were talking about how the game has evolved, and also how the fact that it was so long since he saw him pitch and how emotional it was. Again, the fact that when Levon came over, Hernandez, El Duque's brother, El Duque was banned from, he had a lifetime ban from pitching in Cuba. So the whole being able to defect and come over here and then be able to see him pitch in Miami, and he obviously pitched a great game for us. And, you know, it's just really a fabulous moment.
And guys, obviously it gave him a charge last Friday. Very, very exciting. And you heard Rick talk about how the changeup, how they slowed down their body. I asked him, so is that how Duque throws that 50-mile-an-hour curve? He said, exactly. Back to you guys.
That is amazing.
Yes.
And what a heartwarming story for Diaz to become able to come over here 12 years later and see El Duque pitch.
Yeah, fantastic story. It's great that I'm sure that watching El Duque throw on the side, he probably saw some things that helped them out.
Here's the lineup that El Duque will face tonight, brought to you by Ford. Barry Bonds in the lineup for the second straight day. Hasn't hit a home run at Shea since 2003. In fact, his home run rate in this ballpark is the lowest for any ballpark he's played more than 10 games in. Start for Fred Lewis in right field. Otherwise, the same lineup for the Giants tonight. Omar Vizquel up to the 2-hole.
Well, Orlando Hernandez, you see that good ERA. He has a 19-inning scoreless streak that he's working on. That's a career high. Problem is the Mets have not scored a run while he's been in the game his last 2 starts. Pitches very well with runners on base. The hitters are only hitting 103, 4 for 39 with runners on base.
Hooked up in a great pitcher's duel with Sergio Mitre in his last start. Mitre then pitched yesterday against the Cubs and was shutting them out. And then in the 5th inning he got hurt, shy of the required 5 innings for a win.
Yeah, Mitre pitching against his old team, the Cubs. Here's Alexis starting defense for the Mets. Reyes and Wright on that left side now. This is their 51st out of 52 games for the Mets. Easley, of all people, has 25 starts at second base after Valentin got hurt. And Duque, 11 for 26, throwing out would-be base stealers. 9-game errorless streak for the Mets.
Well, the Mets welcome the recent grads. And they will be spilling over the next few weeks from high schools and colleges all around the area. Randy Wynn leads off 2 for 11 in the series, and El Duque misses low, and we're underway at Shea. Wynn hitting at .305, but much stronger right-handed than left. Hitting just .262 as a left-hand batter. And he hits one hard and has a base hit to lead off the ball game. So Randy Wynn gets the Giants started.
Well, look at that big elbow up in the back. But then once the pitch comes, pretty level swing by Wynn. That ball is on the outside corner, but he went out and got it and hit it right back up the chute.
Keith would be proud of you.
That's
for
right.
using the word level.
So, well, I could talk about it. I certainly couldn't do it when I played.
Here's Omar Vizquel, just 1 for 8 in the series, but boy, has he been dazzling with his defense.
I was thinking about Eddie Kranepool came and said hello before the game started today. He said to me, he goes, I heard you've been talking a little bit about pitching. I don't miss a game. The only thing you know about, talking about hitting. So the only thing you know about hitting is hitting the bat when you were pitching.
That's nice. That's nice, Eddie. Wynn back to the bag. Wynn not a big base stealer. He's got 3 for the year, but one of those has come in this series. Now Duque, in his last start against Florida, gave up a base hit to the first man to face him, Alfredo Amezaga, then proceeded to retire the next 17 in a row. And he He misses upstairs to Vizquel 1-0. Well, that's every start but one. The one against Washington where he got lit up. Other than that, El Duque in his other 5 starts this year has been practically unhittable.
Well, that was a all-around bad start. 6 earned runs, and he got thrown out of the ball game.
Yeah, he was leaving anyway. There's the slow curve, and that's high. 2-0 to Vizquel. And El Duque looking a little uncomfortable out there on the mound.
It's so true. He's walking around. Usually he works a lot quicker early in the ball game.
And of course you're concerned because he missed a month because of bursitis in his shoulder, and you wonder whether maybe he's having trouble getting loose tonight. Wynn is back. And even after he pitched the 6 shutout innings against Florida, that night he said, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to make my next start. Talk to me tomorrow. And then the next day pronounced himself fit to go. And he misses badly to Vizquel, and he is certainly not in sync.
Just seems like everything's slowing down as he tries that quick move to the plate to hold the runner, win at first. Seems like he's standing more upright than he usually is. Usually he gets a little lower when he releases the ball.
Here's the strike, 3-1.
He's also not throwing very hard. 84 miles an hour is his fastball. He usually can get it between 88 and 90 when he's throwing it.
So we'll see whether El Duque is able to work the kinks out here as Rick Peterson pays a watchful eye. And he is spending a lot of time concerned with Wynn, and that's probably a giveaway as well.
When you watch a pitcher like this go and take his time, you know what happens now? The Aaron Seeleys of the world start getting loose, getting those spikes on just in case El Duque's not feeling good.
Wynn runs. Vizquel swings and misses. LaDuca's throw not in time. And Wynn has his 4th stolen base of the year.
Oh, change up here to Vizquel. He swings over the top. Perfect throw by LaDuca. A little one hop, but good jump. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Wynn's allowed to look in. And that straight in slide, which you don't see as much anymore. It's a Lou Brock style slide.
Base stealers now 7 for 9 against El Duque this year. And LaDuca wants a chat, talk about the signs with the runner at second. Well, last night we saw Tom Glavine have an uneven beginning to his game. And then able to settle in and give the Mets 7 innings. Barry Zito was just better last night. 3-2 and curveball fouled back toward us.
You know, usually when you're at home, you don't have to really, you know, the field is not a factor. You pitch enough on the mound, you know how it feels. I think the problem happens when you don't feel well, or you're just not feeling 100% at the beginning of the game. You got to kind of just get that out of your mind.
3-2 to Vizquel. And the curveball popped up, and that'll come back out of play. Well, Duque has certainly been more effective in, it's a small sample, only 6 starts in road games this year.
Yeah, and it's skewed because his one bad start was against Washington here. I think what happens is that you have to work on your body language too. There's days that you just don't feel great, and it's hard to hide it. But trying to hide that body language and look like you're peppy and that you're ready to go and you try to work quick, all those things that you'd work against when you don't feel as great.
This will be the 8th pitch to Vizquel. And the breaking ball hit toward the gap in right center field. And that'll be beyond Beltran and back to the warning track. Wynn will score easily. Vizquel heads for third. Easley with the relay throw. Not in time. It's an RBI triple for Omar Vizquel. And the Giants, 2 batters into the game, have a 1-0 lead.
Well, I do have to say this is a hanging curveball for Vizquel. Lands on the outfield grass, and after Beltran gets to it, it seems like he wasn't able to. There wasn't a sense of urgency as far as Beltran getting that ball back in. And when Vizquel saw that, he turned it around in second. I thought he was going to stay for a double. He saw there was not a sense of urgency from Beltran and took advantage of it. and got to third.
First triple of the year for Vizquel, his 13th RBI. Now the Mets have to bring the infield most of the way in with Rich Aurelia at the plate. Aurelia 4 for 4 last night, breaking out of a big slump, and he takes high.
You see El Duque is looking at the home plate umpire. Rich Aurelia last night, 19th time he's had 4 hits in a game, but El Duque looking in at home plate umpire Sam Holbrook, who has an unwillingness to call strikes so far early in this game.
1-0 to Aurelia. And he fouls that fastball back, and it's 1-1. And there just isn't much life on El Duque's pitches as Barry Bonds waits.
I did not do that Florida game, but I'm sure that this looks 180 degrees from what you saw in Florida with El Duque, who loves to pitch in that stadium anyways.
Well, it was warm, and like Pedro Martinez, he really gets loose in that Florida heat. And the breaking ball misses, and it's 2-1.
To me, watching him pitch, and I've seen him pitch now, what, 25 times or so, he seems stiff, like he can't get loose.
Like maybe his back is bothering him a little bit. And certainly the signs are there for Rick Peterson early. The slider drops in for a strike, and it's 2-2. But, you know, you get a veteran pitcher like this, and sometimes things can kick into gear.
Yeah, sometimes your pitchers will come back to you. You'll loosen up a little bit.
One thing you know, he's not going to panic out there.
No.
Vizquel at third and nobody out. Giants already have a run in. 2-2 to Aurelia. Held back on the slider, and it's 3-2.
That ball is breaking, but it doesn't have that sharp late break. As soon as it comes out of his hand, it's spinning, and it's breaking to the outside part, but it's really a kind of a lackadaisical break, not that sharp, quick one that you usually see.
On 3-2, Aurelia hits it in the air. That should get the run home. Beltran and Chavez converging now. Endy coming in, makes the grab. Here comes Vizquel. Here comes Chavez's throw, and safe as Vizquel got the hand in. And it's 2-0 San Francisco. That ball got knocked down by the wind, it appeared. And Chavez was able to make the grab coming in.
Well, you're right about that. The wind is blowing from right to left. Chavez with a strong throw, but Vizquel still runs well at 41 years old. Interesting slide. Slide in the batter's box and sweep it with the hand.
Looks like he was doing some housekeeping.
Helping Sam Holbrook, the home plate umpire.
So 2-0 Giants. Here's Barry Bonds with 1 out and nobody on. And Bonds takes a strike. Barry's 1 for 3 in this series with a couple of walks. 12 home runs this year, 746 lifetime. And we mentioned earlier the home run ratio. Bonds has hit just 1 homer every 32 at bats at Shea Stadium, the lowest of any stadium where he's played at least 10 games. Pops this one up. The only man on the left side of the infield is David Wright. And David's got it, and Bonds ran about halfway to first base. 2 out.
Well, what you have to do with Bonds, you have to get in on him. So he pulled those hands in, trying to fight that ball off. He couldn't. And the deception of Orlando Hernandez got that ball in on Bonds.
Here's Molina, who's riding an 11-game hitting streak. He has been the best hitter in the Giants lineup this year. Takes the curveball for ball 1.
And as Barry will do, or won't do, is
just not much interest.
Hustling days are over.
And the thing about it is, you know, you say the guy's 42, he's had a bad knee, etc., etc. The 2 times last night where he really needed to run hard, he did. So it's not like he's not capable of it. And, you know, when he gets in front of reporters last night and talks about how he wants to educate youngsters about the game, Barry, you're not helping right there. 1-2 to Molina.
He's leaving child behind. Leaving some children behind.
a whole generation, I'm afraid.
No, you're talking about Barry, of course, who doesn't come to Shea Stadium as much because of the way the schedule is. But when he was tearing it up with the Pittsburgh Pirates, he always had to face some tough pitchers here at Shea Stadium in the 80s.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. How did he do against you?
I don't know what his numbers are. I'm sure someone up here will embarrass me with them soon. But I do know that I did give up his second home run, and I'm so grateful that it was his second and not first, so that when he does break it, I won't have to see it over and over on the television.
Struck him out. So Duque, with his hardest pitch of the night so far at 87, strikes out Molina to end the inning. Giants get 2 in the first inning, but Bonds comes up empty. Here's your Geico Mets starting lineup. Endy Chavez getting the start in right field tonight. Moving over from left because Ben Johnson's getting his first start as a Met. Jose Reyes takes wide from Matt Cain. Reyes hitting at .305, just 1 for 8 in this series. And it's 2-0.
Well, Matt Cain was a first-round pick for the Giants in 2002, the 25th pick. 22 years old, 225 pounds. He is the youngest San Francisco Giant to throw a complete game one-hitter.
And the fastball for a strike, 2-1. You saw the one-lost record, only 2-4. Well, that's because the bullpen has not been kind to Cain. They've squandered 3 leads for him. And now it's 3-1 to Reyes. The other thing is that Cain is 3rd in the league in walks. He's walked 33 batters this year. As Endy Chavez waits. Fouled away. But he throws hard. He keeps the ball in the ballpark.
They rave about him over there, and they love his work ethic. They love, as we see, the fans coming in late. And they think that he's not even close to his potential, and he won 13 games last year.
3-2, and Reyes fouls it off. There was a while there last season where Cain was right in the conversation in that crowded Rookie of the Year field. He faded a little bit late in the year and finished 13-12, but he had an outstanding rookie year in maybe the best National League rookie class ever. Reyes fouls another one off.
Well, as far as rookie is concerned, he had #1 with 13 wins, 179 Ks, also #1 innings, 190 2/3. And I mentioned that he is the youngest San Francisco Giant have a complete game one-hitter, a little younger than Pete Falcone.
And Reyes draws a leadoff walk, his 30th walk of the season, and Cain's 34th.
Well, here's the Rico starting defense for the San Francisco Giants. They'll try to take advantage, maybe, Reyes, of the catching of Molina, and the other catchers have only thrown out 7 of 35 base stealers. That's only 20%. And Vizquel has more hits than Cal Ripken at 2508 and more double plays than Ozzie Smith with 1,595.
Chavez just 1 for 9 in this series. Reyes takes a healthy lead, and Chavez takes a pitch for him, 1-0. Endy hitting at .315. He's been struggling a bit lately, just 6 for his last 34. Reyes trying to get a read on Cain. I mean, if you're Matt Cain and you start the game, you're facing Jose Reyes, and you know he's a good hitter, but the last thing in the world you want to do is walk him.
Just honestly, you're just kicking yourself when, as he's running the first, you just can't believe that you did exactly the opposite of what you wanted to do.
Reyes runs, Chavez takes it, Molina drops it. Stolen base for Reyes, his 29th of the season.
Well, good job by Chavez, just faking enough to get in the way of Benji Molina. That's a great thing. Chavez, who's so well schooled, and Jose Reyes can take advantage of that. Great jump. See that big leg kick by Matt Cain, delivery to the plate. By that time, Molina was going to have a shot at him anyway.
And what was Sam Holbrook doing?
Yeah.
It looked like he was signaling foul ball. That was weird. 2-0 to Chavez, and Cain having struggles with his control early. 3-0 to Endy with Beltran on deck.
Well, you mentioned it, right, Gary? 34 walks now for Kane.
Well, the Mets will be happy to wait him out. They really ripped him early in San Francisco. 3 straight doubles to start the game by Reyes, Wright, and Beltran. There's a strike 3-1, and then Reyes had an RBI triple in the second. They got 4 runs in the first 2 innings off Kane, and that was enough for Glavine that night. But Kane then threw 5 shutout innings after giving up those 4 runs.
Well, that's usually what a veteran will do. It's great to see when a young pitcher can regroup like that.
Endy pulls one to the right side. That'll get Reyes over to third. Franson throws him out, but a productive out for Chavez. Reyes at third with 1 away. And so Beltran will try and get him in. Carlos has had far more opportunities with a runner at third than less than 2 out than any other Met. 24 chances. He's converted on exactly half of them. The infield back. They'll concede a run on a ground ball. Giants with a 2-0 lead. And Kane misses low. Carlos with 34 runs batted in to lead the ball club. Only 2 more now than Delgado. Give you an idea what Delgado's done lately. That'll get the run in. Franson with a great diving stop. Can he throw him out? No, throws it away. Beltran made contact with Aurelia, and Aurelia is down on his knees. It's a base hit for Beltran, driving in a run to make it 2-1.
Well, that ball had a lot of topspin on it. Nice play by Franson. The wide throw, though.
And Aurelia not an experienced first baseman.
Well, just ran right into Beltran's path. Got a knee in the back, it looks like.
And they're both shaken up now. Ray Ramirez and Willie Randolph are out to look at Beltran as well.
A lot of time what happens with that is you're shaken up right away, but then it starts to be painful afterwards. Watch his collision.
So Aurelia trying to shake it off. Meanwhile, Beltran trying to do the same and flexing his right leg. And that's, of course, a concern because he's had so many quad problems over the last couple of years.
I think if he was flexing his leg, though, that might be something like a Charlie horse kind of injury.
So it goes as an infield hit for Beltran, his 35th RBI. And really wants to test out his arm after taking that blow to his shoulder.
You know, Beltran's at first base. I thought that ball went into the dugout. I guess it didn't.
No, I think it hit the fence in front of the dugout. You know, it used to be that was automatically second base because you didn't have those fences there. Now, unless you find the opening with one of those errant throws, it stays in play.
Shoot and score.
Yeah. Like the NHL skills competition. Right. So here's Delgado, and the Giants put on the full shift. Delgado took an 0 for last night, but he's got 4 home runs in his last 4 games. Tying run at first and 1 out. And Delgado takes the curveball high, and Kane's still having trouble throwing strikes. Delgado 0 for 10 against Matt Cain. There's that infield defense.
See if Vizquel at second base. A little up.
Ooh, up and in, 2-0. Kane's been behind everybody.
Well, he cannot control his fastball. You can see there trying to go in on Delgado, and I think that the Giants, for the most part, have done a pretty good job yesterday especially on Delgado, getting that ball in on him.
Not just Zito, but also Brett Hennessy, who struck him out in the 9th. Beltran with 7 steals this year. He's the tying run. And Delgado lifts one to deep center field. Back goes Wynn onto the track. He has room. I think the wind knocked that down a little bit. And Wynn is able to make the grab for the second out. Wind is blowing mostly from the right field fence toward the third base line, and it might have gotten a grip on that one.
Well, absolutely. He killed that ball to center field. That ball was going to be a home run and just was knocked out. 2-club wind there to center field as Randy Wynn makes the play. See Delgado's face.
He's been cost a few by the conditions here this year. So 2 out. Beltran still at first. And here's David Wright. David 2 for 9 in this series, and he takes the slider ball 1. David's done well against Kane, 5 hits in 10 at bats. In the air to left center field. Does that have enough juice? Win back near the fence, and it's out off the wall in play. Beltran around third. He heads home right into second base with a game-tying RBI double. And just like that, the Mets have drawn even 2-2. Another almost home run for Wright.
Oh, both balls were covered, both Delgado and Wright. This is a towering shot to left field. It's hit so high, blew back into play. Wright covers this ball. Watch Bonds. He doesn't even run after it. Just hopes that Wynn can make the play and gets that ball once it comes off the wall. Wynn tried to jump for it, but he was too late. That ball, it's hard to see, but it went off that sign, that Impala sign, which is all white.
So an RBI double for Wright, his 28th run batted in, and the Mets have gotten El Duque's 2 runs back. We had one that hit off the top of the right field fence on Tuesday night, and this one halfway up on the left center field fence. Right off the A. Duque with the highest batting average in the National League this month. And today is the last day of the month. 327 for the year, 413 in the month of May. Beltran still trying to shake the kinks out after that collision with Aurelia. 2-1 to Duque. Grabbed at that right knee there.
Yeah, I think it's a collision, maybe jammed that kneecap.
Duque pops one foul. You know, it looked as though Aurelia had gotten the brunt of the collision because he kind of took an elbow in the back. But you wonder how Beltran then came down on his right leg right after the initial collision. And that may be why that knee is bothering him a little bit. 2-2 to Duque, who hit his 1,000th major league hit last night. Folks at Elias have informed us there are 1,149 players in Major League history with 1,000 or more hits. And there was number 1,000 for Duque.
The note I liked, but not liked, was that there were 2 players that got stuck on 999.
Gene Alley, the shortstop for the Pirates, and our own Tommy Agee. Shot foul. Damion Easley waiting on deck. Duque threw 24 pitches in the top of the inning. Kane's already thrown 26 here in the bottom. Curveball bounced toward third. Feliz will make the throw, and that puts an end to the inning. But the Mets get the 2 runs back. A leadoff walk hurts Matt Cain. And David Wright hurt him even more. Almost had himself a 2-run homer. Scrapes the wall for an RBI double to get the Mets even. Well, as we go to the second inning, Carlos Gomez has replaced Carlos Beltran in center field. Endy Chavez stays in right.
Well, that collision at first base. Let's see if we can see his knee. Didn't really seem like he made contact with it really, but like you said, Gary, when you land afterwards, it's what happened. And
so Beltran exits as Fred Lewis fouls the first pitch off from El Duque. Doesn't look like he's in great distress, but enough to knock him out of the game. And it was interesting because watching that last replay, the first leg that came down was his left leg. You see?
Yeah.
And then the right one. And it's the right one that he was holding. It certainly didn't look as though the right leg made contact with Aurelian. 1-2 to Lewis. Fred Lewis, who hit for the cycle in his first week with the Giants, but he's been struggling since. Just 4 for his last 31. Aurelian looks like he's hanging around for a while. 2-2 to Lewis. In there for a call, third strike. So El Duque, who finished a rough first inning with a strikeout, starts the second with his second strikeout.
Good fastball painted on that outside corner. Caught Lewis watching.
Here's Beltran running the bases on Wright's double.
Well, that's about 50% there.
Pedro Feliz takes ball 1. By the way, do you notice that last pitch to Fred Lewis, all of a sudden El Duque is throwing 89?
Yes.
So perhaps he's worked the kinks out. 2-0 to Feliz.
You know, sometimes after you've warmed up and get through that first inning, you go back in the trainer's room sometimes and they can redo a stretch to try to get you looser. Maybe that happened for El Duque.
And fastball for a strike to Feliz, 2-1. Feliz had all 3 RBIs in the game last night. A 3-0 Giants win, a first inning single and a third inning triple. And that fastball's in at the knees, 2-2. So El Duque finding his rhythm. Like a Mambo King after his warm-up.
That's right.
All of a sudden that marimba is working just fine. Curveball popped up in foul ground. Let's see if the wind grabs it. Wright has just enough room. 2 away. So 2 out and nobody on. Weekday mornings before you head out the door, check out the CW11's Commuter Cast. From traffic tie-ups to train delays, get up to the minute time-saving traffic reports with Commuter Cast all morning long on the CW11 Morning News. 2 out and nobody on. Kevin Franson, who's played this entire series at second base with Ray Durham banged up.
I just find it very interesting that Kevin in all 3 games has wore that eye black. You usually don't see players wearing the eye black at night.
In the air along the right field line, and Chavez is there. And a 1-2-3 for El Duque. Looking much sharper a second time around. Let's go to the bottom of the second, tied at 2. We go to the bottom of the second inning. Mets and Giants tied 2-2. Damion Easley will lead off against Matt Cain, who threw 27 pitches in the first inning and starts Easley off with a curveball for ball 1. Damion hitless in his last 9 at bats, batting at .257. Jose Valentin played his second game down in Florida today. As Easley rips one toward the left field corner, and that's an extra base hit. And Easley cruises into second base with a leadoff double, his 3rd of the year.
Well, at your own peril, do you throw Damion Easley a fastball? Because he just can turn on anyone's fastball in the major leagues. Pulled that one down the line. This ball's inside, but he has such a quick bat. Gets that top hand on the ball and just drives it to left field.
Loves that fastball up.
Yes.
So the Mets have their 3rd hit off Cain. So Easley with 7 home runs and 3 doubles. Usually when he hits them, they go. Ben Johnson making his first start as a Met. Got in the game on Monday night late and got a couple of at bats. Johnson at 282 at New Orleans this year, the former San Diego Padre. Late swing and a foul.
Johnson, of course, who, as you see this swing, a little late by Johnson. That ball runs in, catches Molina on the carom. Johnson, of course, who came over with John Atkins for Heath Bell and Royce Ring, and Heath Bell throwing very well for the San Diego Padres.
Who in that bullpen isn't?
Yeah.
Easley at second and nobody out. Johnson takes a strike. Ben missed better part of a month with a separated shoulder. Landed on it awkwardly, trying to avoid a collision with Carlos Gomez in a game for New Orleans. He's been back about 2 or 3 weeks and says he's feeling 100% with that shoulder now. 1-2 to Johnson. El Duque waits on deck. Always entertaining with the stick. That's what Johnson did in his San Diego career. Just got a piece of that to stay in there.
Well, Kane doing a good job here. When you 2 strikes, you're trying to get the ball and trying to shoot it to the right side, trying to make a productive out. And if you don't, you know, you're trying to get a base hit to right field. But if you don't, you make a productive out like Endy Chavez did in the first inning. And Kane countering that with running that fastball in on the hands of Johnson.
And Ben takes the fastball high. That almost sailed away from Molina. 2-2. Tommy Glavine, last 2 times he's gone to the mound, he's run into hot pitchers.
Well, Schmaltz and Zito, they're usually pretty hot. They don't have many bad days.
That's a scored total of 1 run in Glavine's last 2 starts, and that 1 was after he was long out of the game in Atlanta. 3-2 now to Johnson. So Glavine's still stuck on 295, and I'm sure that frustration level's building a little bit.
It's gotta, you know, you want to get to 300 as quick as you can, but those kind of things kind of take, you know, a life of their own, really. You know, being a starting pitcher nowadays and going 6 or 7 innings, there's a lot more game to be played.
3-2 to Johnson. Walked him. So after Kane got ahead 0-2, he walks the number 8 hitter, his second walk, and the Mets have the first 2 men on. Check out our Jeep around the majors. A-Rod with his I got it call in Toronto, prompting much discussion all around baseball. Dan Uggla, a couple of home runs in the Marlins 9-0 win last night. And the D-backs coming to Shea after sweeping the Phillies. Randy Johnson with a great effort last night. 6 innings, only 1 hit. El Duque will be up there to bunt, despite his lofty .267 batting average. Looking for his first sacrifice of the season. And he bunts it foul.
Interesting, Omar Vizquel faked the wheel. Orlando Hernandez had his eyeballs on him just to see if he was going to do the wheel. Sometimes you take it back and Butcher Boy. Watch Vizquel. Fakes the wheel, but then stops. And Orlando Hernandez was late with that bat. You want to bunt the ball to third. If you guys are young at home, point the head of that bat right at the second baseman Franson. You point it right there, and that gives you the angle to get the ball to third base.
And he bunts it foul again, and it's 0-2. Well, Duque a little frustrated with himself. We were talking about A-Rod and his, I don't know even what you call it, his play in Toronto last night, yelling at Howie Clark as he ran behind him, implying that it was not Clark's ball and the ball falling in. And it was interesting because everybody in the Mets clubhouse was talking about it today. El Duque gets the bunt down. Aurelia bare hands it, thinks about third, but makes the play at first. Aurelia making like Vizquel. But El Duque gets his first sack of the year.
I think if Aurelia had it back, he would like to catch this ball with the glove, because what happened when he fielded it with his bare hand, he never got the grip. It ran up his arm. If he fields that with the glove with 2 hands, he's able to get that exchange and get that ball to third base. Watch if he catches it with his glove. He can make the exchange just like he did at shortstop and second and third base that he's played before in his career. Instead, it crawled up his arm, and Easley's safe at third base.
Those third basemen are used to picking the ball up barehanded, but not on that high a hop. So 2 in scoring position for Reyes, who walked, stole a base, and scored a run in the first inning. The infield back at second and short, and the curveball stays high. What was your impression of the A-Rod play?
Well, I heard it's a playground play. Never on any playground I've ever been on. If I was coaching a Little League team and one of my players did that, I'd take him off the field. It's a Bush play, simple as that.
Have you ever seen it happen in a big league game?
I've never seen it happen. I know that some people I've heard say that that happens all the time. It's not true. Just does not happen. You would never do that. It's a respect for the game. You wouldn't do it.
Knocked down by Molina, 2-0. Now I was talking to Julio Franco in the clubhouse before the game, and he equated it to guys yelling from the dugout as a first baseman or third baseman comes over to try and catch a foul ball. And he says sometimes guys will yell things from there that he's never done what A-Rod did, but it almost sounded like he was condoning.
Yeah, well, I don't usually disagree with Julio Franco because he's been around so long and seen a lot more baseball than I've seen. But I certainly have never, ever seen anyone yelling at a third baseman coming over to make a play near the dugout. Plenty of room, or any of that kind of stuff. You really just keep your mouth shut. And in fact, in the days that I played, if a catcher or a first baseman came over, you certainly wouldn't help them with the way to make the play. But if they were going to fall into the dugout, you would try to prop them up, make sure that they didn't injure themselves. So it's just not a play I've ever seen done on the playing field.
Reyes slices one down the left field line and bonds over for a look, but it's in the crowd. And to me, the most interesting aspect of the entire thing was that after the game, didn't seem as though any of the Yankees, including Joe Torre, said anything to defend A-Rod's action.
Yeah, they were like, I have no comment, you talk to him. And to tell you the truth, John Gibbons said it was Bush, the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, and Rob McDonald.
Down the left field line again, a foul.
McDonald, the shortstop of the Toronto Blue Jays, he wanted to fight. He really did. I mean, that's how he thought about it.
Well, I would assume that the next time those two teams get together, there's going to be some repercussions.
Yeah, you know, well, there should be, but it doesn't always work that way. My first thought in my head, and you know, this is a strange way that us pitchers sometimes think, as we'll watch the pitch, of course, the Reyes.
On 2-2, the curveball inside, the full count.
My first thought when that happened, once McDonald and the team didn't go after him, because if he did that on that 86 team, against that 86 team, Ray Knight would have knocked him out. I mean, that would have been out, done. But my first thought was, boy, I might take a shot at Giambi here with the base open and tell him as he's walking to first, hey, it's your teammate that got you hit.
Reyes shoots one over Vizquel's head, base hit. Easley scores, Johnson to third, 3-2 New York. Terrific turn at bat for Jose Reyes, and he drives in his 25th run of the year to give the Mets the lead.
Well, good show by Reyes. I think that when he's had runners on base in the month of May, it seems like he's been very impatient. And this time he stayed behind the baseball, hit it the other way. That 1 or 2 hops to Bonds did not allow the back runner to score, easily scoring the third run.
The Mets as a group have been very patient against Kane. So Reyes aboard, and with Johnson at third, we'll see if Reyes tries to swipe another one with Chavez at the plate. The infield about halfway at second and short as Kane tries the third to first move.
Just nice to see the offense for the Mets. Chavez with a productive out in the first inning. A nice hit there by Reyes with ducks on the pond.
Don't forget the 2-strike sacrifice by El Duque.
The walk by Ben Johnson after 0-2 count.
Reyes runs. Molina makes the throw into the runner. Perfect throw, and he got him. Outstanding throw by Benji Molina to get Reyes. The 6th time Reyes has been thrown out this year.
Well, how do you combat Reyes in that great steal? Fastball up. Easy one for Molina to throw, and a perfect throw right into Reyes. All Franson really had to do with that perfect throw is catch the ball. Reyes was coming right through with the slide. See, just catch it, and he's going to slide right into it.
So that's the second out. Johnson still at third. 0-1 to Chavez, and he drops down a bunt. Kane tries to shovel it home, and it rolls to the back
shortstop, Endy, just seeing it. He will not be able to go to second. But the Mets lead it 4-2. Endy Chavez with a 2-out bunt hit to chase home a run.
Deception is just as important as execution for Chavez here. Right after the base runner Reyes is thrown out stealing, maybe the Giants on their heels. He takes advantage of it. Proper execution. Johnson with that good speed scores easily. And Kane tried to make the play at the plate, hoping that Molina kept his ground, but there was no play at any of the bases. One of those where they tell you, just eat it, kid.
Put it in your pocket. So 2 runs home here in the second. 4-2 New York. Carlos Gomez up for the first time. Took over for Beltran in center field, and a wild swing by Gomez, and we've seen a lot of that lately. It's been rough for Carlos after his first couple of games.
Well, they're just realizing he's a young kid. He's very aggressive, and you don't really have to throw him a strike. You know, that's the book report, the book on him so far.
Chavez at first and 2 out. He's running, and Gomez fouls it off. Well, you got, with Gomez taking over for Beltran on the 3-hole, now you get those 3 rabbits batting back to back to back. Reyes, Chavez, and Gomez.
Yeah, if we can get Gomez on base, Chavez trying to steal, trying to take advantage of Molina and the other catchers, only throwing 20% of the base runners out, but great throw in this inning by Molina to nab that man.
0-2 now to Gomez. Chavez runs back to Kane. Reads the signature and throws out Gomez to end the inning. Might do that a little too long one time, and Gomez might beat it out. Then score a couple and take a 4-2 lead. El Duque handed a 2-run lead as he takes the mound for the 3rd inning, and we're very happy to be joined by Mets general manager Omar Minaya. Omar, how you doing?
Okay, how you doing, Gary?
You know, it's got to be pretty gratifying for you right now. You're going without 3 starting players, and yet your team's continuing to perform well.
Wow, right now is actually more than 3. It's actually, you know, without the whole, actually the whole outfield is not out there right now. We have Valentin out and Beltran out, and you know the guys are picking it up. The bench is picking it up. And the fact that the bench is picking it up, that's, you know, that's how you try to, when you put teams together, you have to always, you know, you plan for injuries and all those kind of things. And it's a credit to Chavez and Easley, the job they've done.
Well, I think it's a credit to you, Omar, and your staff, too, because you do your homework in the winter. And, you know, to me, the marvel of what you guys do for the Mets is those guys that are not the big stories in the winter. Damion Easley is making his 25th start this season. Those are the people that, you know, really are attracted for me. What did you see in Damion Easley over the winter that made you think that he would be an important part of this team?
Well, we like the fact when you looked at Damion, he's a guy that's going to be able to accept the role first. And Ronnie, you know it's important for a player to be a bench player to accept the role. And then second of all, we like the fact that he has the ability to come in there and hit a home run, which is what he did against Colorado, which is what he did against Arizona. Look, that's what Johnny Rico, our director of professional scouting, does, and all our pro scouts. Tony Bernazar was very big in getting him signed for us. And look, I trust, you know, John Rico in running the professional scouting department to give us the information that we need in getting these bench players.
Do you also feel as though, as this franchise attains more and more success, that guys who are on the fence between signing with you and signing with somebody else as a free agent might want to come here to play because they'd like to be part of a winning program? Are you finding that you're getting an edge in that respect with those guys?
I think so, yeah, Gary. I think we're getting an edge. And whenever you have a situation where a player has a chance to be part of a winning experience, and a program that's about the team, that's about winning games, the way Willie has done downstairs, I think the word gets out throughout the major leagues, and that's what happened in the case of Damion Easley. I think that, you know, they know that our ownership is committed to investing the dollars to win. I think we have, you know, the greatest and the toughest fan base in baseball.
I know a little bit about that. Yeah.
But you know what? We tell players when they come to New York, look, if you want to be challenged, this is the place to come. You know, this city, in a lot of ways, will challenge you, and but it challenges you for the best. And all of us that work here, and I think the players understand that. And I think, you know, and look, the fact that we're going to have a new stadium, I tell you, that's going to really help out a lot. So, yes, you're right. I mean, the word gets out. This is a place where players want to come, they want to be challenged, and they want to win. And I think we have, you know, the ability and the program that's going to be able to provide those for those free agents.
You know, Omar, there was a lot of talk this winter that the starting pitching was going to be a problem for the Mets, and it's just been just the opposite. How proud are you of the way that Oliver Perez has responded and John Maine, your two young pitchers?
Very, very proud. Very proud of the development, and that's what it's about. It's about their development. And one of the things that I always take into account, we talk about in spring training, is when we're in spring training, we talk about when we break camp, we have to continue to teach. And you know, Guy Conti, a combination of Guy Conti and I don't know if we teach that in spring training. Well, Duque just did right there.
Well, hey, El Duque had him if someone was covered.
Well, it was a foul ball off Wynn's foot, but I'm not sure if Duque knew that.
Well, we do practice that in spring training.
He threw it right to the bag.
Hey, there you go. No, but it's really the instructors from Rick Peterson to Guy Conti and Willie being able to use these guys in the right role. And you know, I am very happy of the success. And you know what the starting pitching has done. I think, you know, going into the winter, I know there was a marketplace for some free agents. We selected a couple of guys that we wanted to go after. We were not able to get them, but we had confidence in our guys that these guys were going to be able to get the job done.
Wynn to left field, and Johnson makes the grab, one away.
Yeah. And look, it's to me, the balance has to be veteran and young. The veterans has always been veteran. I know in spring training everybody said about how old we were. To this day, our AAA catchers, we have Sandy Alomar, we got Mike DeFelice for a purpose. Because we have some young guys, and we want those veteran guys to be able to teach those young pitchers. That's the program.
When I was in AAA, Bruce Bochy was the catcher in AAA.
Right.
A veteran catcher there to work with young pitching.
Exactly, and that's part of the program. That's why we do things. Everything has a purpose, and you know, look. We're still working at this, and we will always be working at this.
Omar, clearly Rick Peterson has got something special here. He's done a remarkable job with turning some of these pitchers around. Guys who have either been inconsistent like Oliver Perez and Jorge Sosa, or guys who just need to get to the next level like John Maine. What do you think it is that has made his program so special?
Well, I think, you know, first of all, he's, you know, his knowledge. It has to do with knowledge, and then how you communicate that knowledge. And Rick has a lot of knowledge, and not only is his knowledge being used here in the major leagues, but it's also being used throughout the minor leagues. That's why a Sosa can not be effective in spring training, go down to the minor league, and a Mark Brewer can be able to help out him. I mean, we got a great story going right now, a kid by the name of Kevin Mulvey, who was our second-round pick. I mean, this kid is, you know, he's got a low threes ERA in AA this year. I think it's the pitching program, and Rick is responsible for putting that pitching program in place.
Mulvey pitched a great game last night. 7 innings, 4 hits, only a 1 earned run, 3.07. Like you said, just a great, and that comes from scouting again. And now you have the draft that you have to deal with, the college, high school draft, and picked 5 times, I think, in the first 100 picks.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some good names out there that you'd like to see on wearing a Met uniform.
Disco with a double play ball to short, 6-4-3 double play, and that ends the inning. We're going to keep you around for another half inning. Is that okay?
Great.
All right. Mets turn 2 and have a 2-run lead as we go to the bottom of the third. We go to the bottom of the third. The Mets with a 4-2 lead. Same thing they did to Matt Cain the first time they faced him. Got 4 runs in the first 2 innings. Cain settled in that game and threw 5 zeros after that. We're with Omar Minaya, Mets general manager, and we were talking about the draft upcoming. It's a big undertaking for you guys.
Yeah, you have 5 picks in the first 100 picks, of course, and then Darryl Strawberry, the #1 pick in 1980, representing the Mets down there. But I just want to know, do you take the best player when you got that position, or is there a need that the Mets need that you're looking for in the draft?
Ron, I believe in taking the best player. I believe in taking the best players because, you know, to me, taking the need, if the quality of that need is not to the standard that you like, to the level that you like, you take the best players. In the end, you know, you got to remember these guys that we're drafting are going to be in the major league sometimes 3, 4, 5 years from now. There is an exception. There is the Joe Smith of the world. Where last year, you know, we were in that room and we were able to take a Joe Smith in the third round, and to be able to have a Joe Smith contributing at the major league, I mean, in our business, that is unheard of. I mean, you guys know that in football and basketball, those things happen, but in baseball, it doesn't happen. And Rudy Terrazas and David Lakey and Erwin Bryant and all those kind of guys, to be able to make that call and be able to get those guys, you know, it's a credit to the scouts, but I always believe in taking the best player available.
Delgado down swinging to start the third inning. Guillermo Mota made his return last night, and you and I have talked a lot about this over the last few months since you guys made the decision to re-sign him. Talk to me a little bit about the Mets policy, how much internal discussion you guys have had, because you've had minor leaguers fail drug tests. You had Mota fail a drug test, and then you opted to re-sign him. Where's the line? What is the organization's philosophy about, you know, what's acceptable in terms of guys you're going to stay with, and at what point you decide to cut bait with a guy?
Well, the most important thing, what's acceptable is, first of all, you have to, you know, understand that if players are, you know, first of all, we don't go in there. Our first job is to educate our players internally. Education is something that is very important in educating the players. We invest a lot of time and effort in spring training and throughout the year in educating our players.
Right with an infield hit.
So we have to educate our players. We have to invest time, and we have to continue to do that. You know, steroid is something new as far as, you know, information about this. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us didn't, you know, I can tell you myself, we did not know much about these areas. Now we are. So we invest in education. If a player like a Mota tests positive and he's a free agent, okay, then we have to evaluate. We do talk about those things. And we look at, okay, how he responded to it. He admitted that he made a mistake. He was apologized to the players. He apologized to the team. He apologized to the fan. He was heavily fined. I mean, you know, it's a big fine that you get right now, 50 games. And then at the end of the day, we have to make a decision. Is this a guy that we want to be able to sign? All the signs were that we were not the only team that was interested in this guy. You saw the relief pitching has become so important now in baseball. There were other teams out there. There were other teams with bigger offers than us. And we made a decision. Yes, this guy, you know, we're going to give him a second chance. And I do believe, Gary, that we should be an organization that believe that if guys make a mistake, sometimes we have to give guys second chance. And each case is different, but we evaluated that. And to say that we're never going to give a guy another chance, I don't think that's the right policy to do.
Okay, and let me ask you about the other piece of the puzzle, which is, how did you guys make the evaluation that the performance-enhancing drugs that he used were not responsible for his turnaround last year?
Well, we looked at the velocity. And, you know, this day and age, we have a great staff, you know, a statistical staff, guys like Ben Baumer, guys like Adam Fisher. And what we do is, before we get the guy, we look how well was he throwing in June. You know, first of all, when did he test positive? And then what was he throwing in May, June? And there was no drop-off in velocity. I mean, at the end of the day, the reason we got him here was very simple. Polo Duque caught him when he was at his best. We have confidence in Guy Conti. We have confidence in Rick Peterson in turning him around and being him able to throw the changeup. At the end of the day, the main thing that was, you know, Mota impressed us with last year, not so much the fastball, was the dominance of the changeup. Now, does steroid have something to do with a changeup? I don't know that. The fact of the matter is that we looked at the changeup, we looked at the velocity, there was no change in it. So from a performance standpoint, we felt he should be okay.
He certainly looked okay last night. 1-2 to LaDuca. Wright runs, and LaDuca fouls it off.
That's one thing I like about our team. This team continues to put pressures on team. You know, we get the lead and we continue to put pressure on team. And, you know, we talk about the Mets way, and for the fans' sake, what we talk about with Willie is, I just believe in speed. I believe in putting the pressures on team. And hopefully we continue to do that, especially whether we're behind or I thought the game 2 days ago was an unbelievable game, and how we won that game really by just putting pressure by the fear of Jose Reyes trying to steal a base.
You have any update for us on Carlos Beltran?
The last I heard before I came in here, he had a strain. It was a bruise, if I'm not mistaken.
Franzen with a shuffle to Vizquel. Those two have been unbelievable in this series. And they get the out at second base.
My understanding it was a bruised knee before I got in here, but I haven't got no updates since I've been up in the box.
Well, off the glove of Kane here, and we already saw Vizquel to Franson. Now Franson to Vizquel with a nice shovel.
Last question before we let you go, Omar. You got 2 months till the trading deadline. Obviously, there's a lot of baseball between now and then. Is there anything in particular you're going to be out there looking for to try and improve this team going forward?
Nothing in particular, Gary, but I will tell you that to me, it's always about pitching.
Yes.
To me, it's about dominating the inning. It's about pitching. I think we have the offense. I think that there are little areas that we should improve upon. I just hope that we stay healthy. Right now, I mean, when you look at our team right there right now, I mean, there are 4 key guys right now that are not playing in this game. Right. And injuries is something that is very important. But I will tell you that to me, it's always about pitching. The best pitching staff, to me, you can sustain a winning streak, and if you have good pitching, you will stay away from long losing streak. And then when you're talking about playoff baseball, to me, the game gets shorter. It's almost like the NBA.
Yes.
In the NBA, they say that, when it gets to the playoffs, especially in the Eastern Conference, it's a short game. And I think we proved that last year, where Willie did a great job in managing and being able to go into the bullpen in the 4th inning. To me, it's about pitching. We're in this to win the World Series. That's our goal. And to me, to win a World Series, you have to have pitching.
And maybe the great acquisition would be Pedro Martinez if he's able to come back by the end of the year.
That's a great point, Ron. And if we're able to get Pedro Martinez back, and we're able to get even like a Dwayne Sanchez sometimes later on. So we do have guys in place that can be acquisitions, but we'll see how the team is. We will definitely be working the phone. I can promise you that, and promise the fans that.
And talking about the guys who are out, and yet your team still able to perform, it really speaks to the depth of your lineup. I mean, you put together a team this year that 1 through 8, and you don't see this often in the National League these days. 1 through 8 can be a dominant offensive team.
Well, it's a combination of things. Look, this is not an easy business. This is not being a general manager and being in a major league front office is not something that's easy. It takes a lot of work and a lot of planning. But at the end of the day, what you got to do is you have to be able to get players that buy into the program, and the program is winning. That's the program. Everything to do about winning.
Well, Omar, we really appreciate you spending some time with us and answering the questions. Good luck the rest of the way.
Okay, thanks a lot, Gary.
All right. Thanks, Omar Minaya joining us in the booth.
Okay, man. Take care.
El Duque takes the mound with a 4-2 lead. They go to the 4th inning at Shea. The Mets with a 4-2 lead in the rubber game of this series. Let's check out our SNY text poll for the night. Do you think Bud Selig should be in attendance when Barry Bonds breaks the all-time home run record? Good question. Text 57508 or go to www.sny.tv to vote.
Well, to help you guys at home, he's on a pace now to hit it in Milwaukee.
That would be fascinating considering that's Bud Selig's hometown. Rich Aurelia leads off in the 4th, tries to bunt, pushes it hard back to El Duque, and that was not successful for Aurelia. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Well, this pitch runs up and in on Aurelia.
Almost ran his face into the ball as much as his bat.
Can't always tell you what proper technique is, but it isn't that.
So here's Bonds, who popped up to David Wright his first time up. 1 for 4 in this series now. And the off-speed curve, ball 1. Bonds has had just 2 at-bats now against El Duque, 1 for 2. And another breaking ball misses, and it's 2-0. Hit hard, but into the shift. So Easley is there in shallow right to throw him out. There are times when that shift works absolutely perfectly, and that was one of those times. Well, Barry Bonds hit his first home run off Craig McMurtry, and there's the skinny guy. Who's that guy on the mound?
God, there's people on base too. Boom. Now people don't forget when he came up that year, he was batting leadoff. And in those days, leadoff hitters did not take you over the center field wall, and it got my attention, I'll tell you that. But by the
it's
way,
the only home run that you gave up against him, by the way.
It is?
You know that?
Well,
he hit 289 against you, 11 for 38. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. I don't know. Every time we have a highlight here, I'm getting whacked around. So I had to get someone out at some point, didn't I?
Well, but, you know, here's the stunning thing. You saw the guy who hit the home run. Is that the same guy?
Well, it obviously is the same guy. We did the DNA, and it is the same guy. But
strike on Molina on the check swing, 1 and 2. I mean, look at that. I mean, do you have to even say anything?
No, you don't.
It's stunning. Every dimension, every single dimension is different.
Well, the one thing he can still do, like he did in that picture on the left, he can rake. And 7-time MVP. Just, boy, it's going to be a strange summer watching him try to beat Aaron's record.
Nice easy hop for Reyes. And he throws out Molina. Another 1-2-3 inning for El Duque. He gave up hits to the first 2 men to face him and none since. And he's got a 4-2 lead over Bonds and the Giants. Get to Shea in 2007 for more thrills and good times with Mets season tickets and plans, which include exclusive postseason ticket purchase options. Get your season tickets and plans at Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX. The 2007 Mets. Your season has come. Ben Johnson's first start as a Met has come tonight. Walked and scored in the 2nd inning. And he lines up base hit. Over to try and cut it off his Wynn with a slide. Johnson thinks about it and stops at first. Nicely done by Wynn to cut it off. Ben Johnson's first hit as a Met.
Well, nice quick bat. You saw them working him inside his first at bat. This ball right down the middle. Nice swing by Ben Johnson. Boy, it packs a lot of power. That ball was crushed to left center. Good play by Wynn to come up with it. But Kane, fastball right down the middle. Johnson ready.
So Ben Johnson aboard. El Duque had his first sacrifice of the year in the 2nd inning. He'll try for another one, but he fouls it off. He fell behind 0-2 the first time, but got the bunt down, and that led to a couple of runs.
El Duque does just about everything right as far as bunting. He squares around. He's got his bat out over the plate until the ball comes, and then he jabs at it a little bit. What he needs to do is just hold the bat out there. You want to catch the ball with the bat, not jab at it.
It's Endy Alomar with a little face-to-face. Matt Cain getting roughed up early tonight, as the Mets did to him in San Francisco. Not many teams have done that. El Duque gets the bunt down. Cain looked to second, but takes the out at first. 1-4 on the sacrifice, and so El Duque has his second sacrifice bunt of the year.
We'll see the second baseman coming in, closing the angle, finally getting over to second. That makes it a lot easier for him to get to first. That's one where, if you're a good hitting pitcher, you might think of drawing the bat back and trying to shoot one that way.
So El Duque helping himself with his bat. This year, when you can't be home to watch your Mets on SNY or CW11, check out MLB.tv. Watch every out-of-market Mets game live. Catch those you missed on demand, or listen to every radio broadcast. Mets.com, where baseball is always on. Big night for Reyes already. Walked, stolen base, scored a run in the first, singled homer run in the second, but then was caught stealing by Molina. Johnson at second and 1 out. Wind is really kicking up here at Shea. Slap to third, off the glove of Feliz, and everybody's safe. First and third and 1 out. Base hit for Reyes. He's 2 for 2 and a walk.
Well, Feliz is in, so that makes it, that ball gets on you real quick. A play that he probably should make. That ball hit right off his glove. It wasn't a dive. It was almost just going down to his knees to kind of cushion it, but it clanks off his glove. After the caroms of his skull, of course, Reyes safe at first. Good play by Johnson to read that also at second base. Once he saw the carom, he was able to go to third.
So now the Mets trying to add to their 4-2 lead. Runners at the corners and 1 out for Chavez, who with 2 out and a runner at third in the second laid down a gorgeous bunt, beat it out for a hit to drive in a run. The Leafs playing well in at third against Chavez this time. 1-0 to Endy. Johnson at third, Reyes at first. In this situation in the second inning, Reyes tried to swipe second but was thrown out. Molina threw and made a perfect throw. If you want to make that work, you got to sell it a whole lot better than that.
Yeah.
Mets have 8 hits now off Kane in 3 1/3. Good off-speed pitch by Kane. It's 1-1.
It was a crazy relief pitcher. Was really great at that third to first move.
Doug Wendell.
Yes. Good change up here from Matt Kane.
In fact, we saw Turk pull off that move successfully twice in 1 inning.
Sounds like a lot of base runners to me.
I think he gave up 4 or 5 runs in the inning. 1-1 to Chavez, and he takes low and inside as Molina fakes the throw to first. Endy's RBI was his 13th. Carlos Gomez hitting third. Carlos Beltran left the game with a bruised right knee after his collision at first base with Rich Aurelia. So the Mets right now without all 3 of their regular outfielders. Now Lou and Green on the DL, and Beltran banged up tonight. Reyes back. And yet they soldier on.
33 and 18.
Well, the backups Chavez and Easley have done a terrific job. It's a little different team. A little more speed, a little less power. Chavez grounds 1 to second. Might be 2 if they hurry. Vizquel with a relay in time. Double play, side retired. Well, you won't double up those 2 very often. But Franzen playing real shallow at second base, able to start the 4-6-3 double play. On to the 5th with the Mets holding a 4-2 lead. Here's the Mets upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets home games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IO Digital Cable. Do you see in HD? The Red Hot Diamondbacks come to town tomorrow night, looking for some revenge after the Mets handled them in Phoenix. 3 with the Diamondbacks, 3 with the Phillies to close out the homestand as Fred Lewis fouls off the first offering from El Duque. And remember, if you're in the car, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Lewis took a call, third strike his first time up. And the changeup misses from El Duque, 1-1.
We were talking about that cycle by Fred Lewis. He did it in his 16th game, which is only Gary Ward did it quicker.
2-1 to Lewis. Fred Lewis, Ricky Weeks' teammate at Southern University. A lot of talented one college baseball team. Pedro Feliz on deck, and then Kevin Franzen here in the top of the 5th. El Duque allowed base hits to the first 2 batters to face him. He's only allowed 1 base runner yet since, and that was the walk to Matt Cain, the pitcher. I mean, he looked in the first inning as though it was not going to be his night. He couldn't get loose. He couldn't command any of his pitches, and then all of a sudden it kicked in.
He was pitching really slowly, as you see the nice crowd here at Shea.
On the fist of Lewis.
Do you think there's any fans out there that feel so strongly about Barry that they would decide not to come?
I guess that's possible.
Not many, though, I would think.
I know there was one fan who was handing out blindfolds to fans at Shea to make a statement about Barry. Other fans have brought signs, and others have just used their lung capacity. Breaking ball hit to second. And Easley throws out the speedy Lewis, one away. So 1 out and nobody on. Time for a City Baseball Night in New York update. Let's go to the studio and Chris Connor.
All right, Gary, top 2 teams in the AL Central, Indians and Tigers. Top 3, Marcus Thames with a single to right field off CC Sabathia. Gary Sheffield scores from third, part of a 3-run inning for Detroit. Indians fought back, though, 4-4, bottom 5.
All right, Chris, the Indians have taken a 2.5 game lead on the Tigers going into that series. Pedro Feliz swings and misses at the breaking ball. Cleveland beat Boston last night. It's hard for anybody to do these days.
Beat up on Dice K last night.
And the curveball lifted to left. Johnson toward the line, and Wynn grabbing it, and Ben stays with it. 2 out. 7 in a row set down by El Duque, and 13 of the last 14. It's fascinating to watch him pitch.
Yeah.
Because again, in the first inning, you wouldn't have given a dime for his chances tonight.
He just kind of figures it out. He'll do. I mean, he's a professor out there on the mound.
Kevin Franzen flying to right his first time up. In the air to right center, a long way for Gomez to go, but he gets there easily. Look at him glide. So the Mets' speedy outfield takes care of the inning for Hernandez. He's on a roll. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. The Mets have the heart of the batting order coming up with a 4-2 lead. Time for our Aflac trivia question for tonight. The only Mets catcher to lead the league in average for a calendar month, and we bring that up because Paul Duque, going into the final day of May, led the league in average. Carlos Gomez comes up for the second time, and he takes a strike, and we're very pleased to be joined from the Mets dugout by bench coach Jerry Manuel. Jerry, how you doing?
Good. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing fine. And watching Gomez at the plate, I know you take special interest in the outfielders as Gomez bunts it foul. We've seen him play a lot of corner outfield, which I know he's not all that familiar with. Mostly a center fielder, and we're seeing him in center for the first time tonight. What do you do with a young outfielder who's not used to playing those corner spots?
Well, what you do is you try to get him as many reps as possible during the course of batting practice and also early BP. Anytime anybody's on the field hitting a baseball, especially in major league stadiums, you got to get a young man out there and get him accustomed to the surroundings and the flights and those types of things of the baseball.
What's the hardest thing for a young player to adjust to moving to the corner?
I think the strength of the major league hitter. The major league hitter has a tendency to make the ball do a lot of different things than, say, a young minor league player. I mean, the ball can hook on you, it can take off on you, it can do a lot of different things. A lot of the guys don't realize the strength of the major league player, how sometimes they can hit a line drive right at you, and it'll just take off and land over your head.
Well, Jerry, I'm interested, and I know Met fans are interested. Take us into the dugout. This team is so great late in games. They seem to put the hammer down as it gets late or extra innings. They just seem to be mentally better than the team across the way.
Well, I think, I mean, that's a good observation. I think one thing we try to do is, coming out of spring training, one of the things we talked about was grinding it out. And we felt that if, as an individual and as a team, if you grinded it out, the opposition will eventually flinch, and especially if you feel that you are more talented. And we definitely feel that we have the talent. It's just a matter of us playing at that level on a consistent basis, which is what we've done pretty much so far this season.
One away as Gomez strikes out, and Carlos Delgado coming up. Jerry, I've read your name mentioned in connection with possible managerial openings in the future, and of course you've managed in the big leagues in the past in Chicago. Do you aspire to get back to being a big league manager?
Of course. I mean, I would love to do that, but I think it's unfortunate you know, that you hear your name. I mean, when I managed, I didn't want to hear anything about anybody else managing for me. But that's an unfortunate thing for people that have the position now. Obviously, you feel good when your name is mentioned, but you would hope those things would take place at the end of the season, where you'll have a chance to concentrate more on that particular opportunity. As right now, we feel like we have a squad that can go to the next level, and that's the World Series. And that's going to take a lot of focus, not only from players, but from coaches as well.
And I'm sure the Mets are very happy to have you here for as long as they can keep you away from those other teams. Jerry, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for spending some time with us.
Enjoy you guys. All right, man.
All right, Jerry Manuel, Mets bench coach from the dugout. The SNY sights and sounds of the game presented by Hummer, like nothing else.
Talk about a classy guy. Just always has been in his playing career, his managerial career, and now here. Invaluable, right, to Willie Randolph on the bench. The things that he can, you know, managers sometimes they're not on top of everything 100%, and that's why you need a guy like Jerry Manuel to make sure that he picks you up.
That second voice is invaluable. As Wright grounds one to third, and Feliz throws out Wright. So Kane settling into a nice groove of his own, much as he did in his first start against the Mets, but the Mets lead it 4-2. This week, Jets Nation delivers all the latest action from the Jets' organized training activities. Boy, that's a euphemism. At Hofstra. Plus, our crew brings back the Jets Nation quiz. It's an all-new Jets Nation at a special time Saturday at 11 a.m. only on SNY. Matt Cain leads off, lifts the first pitch to right center, and Endy slicing in. One pitch and one out. I like how they can't call it practice. It's organized practice activities.
I know you don't know that much about baseball, Chad, but are the Mets going to be in the World Series? Of course. You know, Gary Cohen is a big Jet fan. If he invited you over for dinner, would you go? No.
Hey, he looked undecided there for a moment.
Well, he was trying to be nice. He wasn't trying to be mean.
Glad to see Chad has made it in the ballpark in several respects today. Oh, mercy. Meanwhile, El Duque has retired 9 in a row. And he's just having an unbelievable season in so many different respects. As Randy Wynn steps in, he has one of the 2 Giants hits. Led off the game with a single and scored. I mean, El Duque had thrown 19 scoreless innings coming into this game. Had a bobble in the first inning today. And he hasn't a lot of hits since. He took a month off because of bursitis in his shoulder. Came back as sharp as ever. 77 pitches working in the 6th. He'd love to get 7 innings in tonight. And Wynn rifles one foul.
But big inning here. He did get that first out with the pitcher Kane, but cannot afford to put any people on base because that 4th hitter is looming.
Look at the hits to innings pitched.
Unbelievable.
I mean, that's a guy throwing 97, right? Not a guy throwing, 88 and fooling you.
No, that's Roy Halladay numbers. That's Roy Oswald numbers.
Halladay, by the way, making his return for Toronto tonight. Up 2-0 in the 8th. He's amazing. 2-2 to win.
Well, look at this leg kick. You have to be a strong person to have that kind of motion. Big leg kick, hides that ball, drags that back foot.
3-2 to win. Now, Duque has walked only 1. That was the pitcher Kane leading off in the 3rd. Struck him out. Only the 3rd strikeout of the night for El Duque.
And has the ability to turn it up a notch on this 3-2 pitch. Just challenged Wynn. 87 miles an hour. That equals the fastest pitch he's thrown tonight. And really throws that ball right by Wynn.
That's 10 in a row retired by El Duque. And 15 of the last 16. As Vizquel takes a strike. He had a stretch of 17 in a row. He retired against Florida in his last start. By the way, talking about Halladay, 7 innings tonight, 6 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts. He was supposed to miss 6 weeks after appendicitis. He missed 3 weeks, and he comes back and pitches brilliantly tonight. Vizquel has tripled and grounded into a double play, and he takes low and inside 2-1.
Well, you only missed 10 days, so.
Yeah, but I didn't have to throw 94 pitches like Halladay did tonight. Slap toward the middle. Reyes moving to his left. Side retired. 11 in a row retired by El Duque. Reyes making it look easy. Sliding to his left. 4-2 New York.
Well, look at this great fielding motion. Just gathers it in, and that great grip. That's a 4-seam grip, so he can throw it nice and true and straight. And that great arm by Jose Reyes. Outstanding. See those fingers together, just slightly apart. I mean, 4-seamer. That way you don't get a lot of movement on that ball. You want it to be true and straight when you throw it to Delgado, the first baseman.
Duque 0 for 2 tonight. He takes high. The thing about Reyes is he's got such incredible talent, obviously, because of his speed. He's developing better range and ability to play the hitters, and of course he has the great arm, but his fundamentals are perfect.
Well, playing against Omar Vizquel is about makes it look as easy as anyone ever has. I think that Reyes is getting to that point every year. He's getting a little better, making all these plays with less body movement. He's not all over the place. He's under control. 2 errors so far this season. That's it for Jose Reyes.
Duque pops it up. The wind is really blowing right now as Vizquel and Feliz track it. And Feliz has got it 1 away. Time to check in with the studio. A baseball night in New York update and our favorite Chris Cotter.
All right, let's go to D.C. Nationals taking on the Dodgers. Bottom of the 5th, Brian Schneider. The Nationals catcher, not the handyman from One Day at a Time. With the single to right, Dimitri Young and Austin Kearns score. Nationals take a 6-1 lead.
It's not often you get Schneider references on baseball night in New York. Great thing for the Nationals, they actually scored tonight after getting shut out in the first 2 games of that series. Damion Easley 1 for 2, doubled and scored back in the second. He flares 1 foul. Let's check out our New York Lottery Mets box score. Reyes has wreaked havoc from the leadoff spot, 2 for 2 and a walk. David Wright has had a nice night with a couple of hits. Endy Chavez with the bunt RBI single. Good breaking ball by Kane, and it's 0-2.
Always teaching, even on the days off. Get on top. That's what Oliver said. Get on top of that pitch.
Off the glove of Kane. Franzen tries to run it down, but Easley's got an infield hit.
Well, that's a couple of caroms now against Kane. One to Feliz, and this one his own doing. As he tries to get that play, goes off his glove. Probably he left it alone. It might have been a play right to Franzen.
The Mets have 9 hits in this game. 5 of them have been infield hits. Beltran hit the one that resulted in the collision in the first. Chavez had the bunt single in the second. Wright had that little cue shot for an infield hit in the third. Reyes banked one off Feliz in the fourth, and now Easley with that one off Kane's glove here in the sixth. Ben Johnson's been aboard twice, a walk and a single, and he takes low. Now, if you're a pitcher and you give up 5 infield hits in 6 innings, are you saying I'm snake bit, or are you saying I'm pitching pretty well, but I'm just not getting results?
You are doing some unbelievable swearing. Screaming, yelling, can't believe it. Woe is me. No, what I think you're trying to say to yourself, hey, you know, okay, I'm pitching all right. They're getting some lucky breaks. I think the worm should turn. You know, that's what you're trying to hope for anyway.
Of course, Kane's deflected 2 balls tonight. The first one resulted in an out.
Yes.
When Franzen and Vizquel hooked up on a terrific force play on a ball hit by Duque.
think what's going to happen for Kane as he gets older, see those 11 ground outs, he's going to be more economical with his pitches, where he's going to be able to get those ground outs and not have 97 pitches in the 6th inning.
Johnson takes a high strike, 2-1. Del Duque waits on deck. See, that pitch was so high that it even confused our scoreboard operator. Runner goes, hit to third, one hop by Feliz, his only play to first, and there are 2 away as Easley moves up to second.
Well, we'd be remiss if we didn't say hi to Kai Hernandez, Keith's wife. She had surgery yesterday on her knee, and her head should be clear by now. And I know she's a big Mets fan, watches all the games, and we're hoping for you to recover quickly.
Best thing for Kai right now is she's got the best nurse in the world.
Oh, jeez.
Because
really,
you know how nurturing Keith can be.
Oh my God. No, they are a great couple together. So yeah, maybe Keith will be making some meatloaf or something.
Maybe. Or reservations.
Yeah.
El Duque has been up twice and sacrificed successfully both times. Now trying to pick up Easley from second with 2 down. El Duque has 4 hits and a couple of RBIs this year. Kane right up to 100 pitches now in the 6th inning. Oh, and 2 to El Duque. Tomorrow night the Diamondbacks are in town, and John Maine will make the start for the Mets against the sinker balling specialist Brandon Webb, last year's Cy Young Award winner.
Boy, these young Giant pitchers have some kind of arm. Lincecum was throwing 97 miles an hour in the 7th inning. 101 first pitch by Matt Cain, 94 miles an hour.
And he struck him out to end the inning. 3rd strikeout for Cain. So just as he did his first time around against the Mets, he's settled in, but the Mets have the lead. Weekday afternoons between 4 and 6. Log on to CW11.com for live traffic updates from the CW11's CommuterCast. Check with CommuterCast before you hit the road to find the fastest way home or the easiest way to Shea. In 2007, Hyundai, the Mets, and SNY are teaming up to strike out cancer. For every K the Mets pitching staff registers, Hyundai, the Mets, and SNY will make a donation to the Hope and Heroes Children's Cancer Fund. If you'd like to help, please go to www.hopeandheroes.org. And while we have a minute, I'd like to congratulate our audio guy here in the booth, Rich Rayner, whose wife Jennifer gave birth to not 1 but 2 beautiful baby boys yesterday, Alex and Evan. So congratulations to Rich and Jennifer, and Alex and Evan's big sister Anna. That's a big household all of a sudden, Richie. Good luck.
Anna's going to be bombing. Those kids, those boys are going to be getting a lot of attention.
Rich Aurelia leads off and takes the curveball for ball 1. Well, having been through the twin thing myself, we went from 0 to 2.
Wow.
1 to 3, that may be harder. Those are big boys. They were both over 6 pounds.
Yeah.
Jennifer, you are one tough girl.
Warrior.
Good job. Aurelia with a sacrifice fly, and then he tried to bunt his way on as Bonds waits to follow. Joe Smith, Pedro Feliciano, the tag team up in the bullpen. Good fastball, 1-2. Aurelia coming off the 4-for-4 night last night. He got run into by Beltran early in this game. Beltran leaving the game with a bruised knee. Aurelia seemed to hurt his back or his right shoulder, but stayed in. 2-2. Big hopper for Reyes. And that is 12 in a row set down by El Duque.
Bat over home plate. The right-hander Ford delivers, and Bonds hits one high and deep towards right field. This one is way back and into McCovey Cove.
Just one of Bonds' historic home runs as El Duque gets ahead of him. That was the one that sent him past his godfather, Willie Mays. He had the third place all time on the home run list with 661. Now it's 746. And holding in this series, 1-1 to Bonds. Bonds had that balloon 5-year period where the home runs just expanded. He drives this one toward the right field line, and Chavez is over. 2 away. It's about the hardest ball that Bonds has hit in this series, at least in a game.
Well, I was watching batting practice today, and I saw Barry Bonds hit a ball where I've never seen anyone hit it on the top of the scoreboard over the Mets lineup. Now you can see the DHL. That's where it went, folks.
That's amazing. Now, we've seen a couple in regular season play over the last number of years that have hit high on that scoreboard. The center section where the Bud Light is, right in the middle of that, Mo Vaughn hit one.
Oh.
And that's a poke. As Molina pops it up. Easley with the angle, but Chavez coming in, and Endy makes the running grab. And the side retired. Another 1-2-3 inning for El Duque, who has now set down 14 in a row. The Mets and Giants passing each other for the final time this season. Barry Bonds' last chance this year to get a home run at Shea. Orlando Hernandez struggled early, but has retired 19 out of 20. And the Mets were able to get 4 off Matt Cain in the first 2 innings. And that's been enough for El Duque tonight as Reyes leads off and just misses an extra base hit as we start the bottom of the 7th. Reyes has been aboard 3 times tonight, a walk and 2 hits. He's driven in a run, he's scored a run, he's stolen a base. El Duque heading toward the clubhouse after 7 solid innings. Reyes pops one foul that should get blown into the stands, and does. 0-2. Matt Cain pitching tonight. The Giants' strength has been their starting pitching. Their starters have gone deeper into games than anybody.
Well, their bullpen has pitched less innings than any bullpen in baseball, and 35 quality starts so far. That leads the major leagues for the starters of San Francisco.
And Reyes goes down swinging at the curveball. 4th strikeout for Matt Cain.
It's the first time we've really seen that 12-6 right on that outside corner by Matt Cain.
By the way, speaking of the Giants bullpen, remember last night the Giants had a 3-0 lead going to the 9th, and a night after Armando Benitez had given up the game in the 12th, Bruce Bochy did not go to Benitez. He went instead to Brad Hennessy as Chavez takes a strike. Bochy said after the game that Benitez had some fluid on his knee that had to be drained, and that Benitez probably would also not be available tonight. Now, you can take that at face value. Chavez rifles one up the middle, and Endy's got his 2nd hit of the night. Or you can just think that maybe the Giants didn't want to put Benitez in a situation where he had to pitch another game here at Shea.
Yeah, I think it's more of the latter. Usually when you get your knee drained, you might miss a day. You're not going to miss 2 days. And there's been some reports, at least in the papers in San Francisco, there's Dave Righetti, pitching coach, that they might try to move Benitez someplace else. And I think it's a combination of, you know, that he does get rattled at times, but also those strong arms of Hennessy, Correa in the bullpen for the Giants.
Carlos Gomez has had a couple of at-bats since taking over for Carlos Beltran, who had to leave the game after being involved in a collision at first base with Rich Aurelia. Bruised knee for Beltran. And we've heard no more than that. Joe Smith getting set to pitch the 8th inning. El Duque's thrown 94 pitches, and apparently that's going to be enough for him tonight. To Gomez. Vinny Chalk is up in the Giants bullpen behind Kane, who's now thrown 109 pitches.
I think when I see Gomez hit, looks like he's right in between. He's in between whether he wants to have a big long swing or a really short kind of compact swing, and I think that short compact one will work much better for him because as time goes by he'll have enough power. He's just a big strong kid. If Tony Bernazar was telling me this, he said they can teach Gomez to learn how to hit first, be a 300+ hitter, then the home runs and doubles are going to come.
He's been swinging the bat like he really wants to hit a home run, and he strikes out swinging for the 2nd out. Chavez took about 4 or 5 steps towards second base that time before he stopped.
Fastball up, and that's where they've been trying to pitch him. Up out of the strike zone, and watch Chavez trying to time Matt Cain. Thought he didn't get a good enough jump, so came back to first base.
Gomez is now 0 for his last 17. Ooh. Here's Delgado with 2 out and a runner at first. Carlos 0 for 3 tonight. And he takes it wide. Hey, Met fans, IO Digital Cable and SNY invite you to enter the Amazing Day at Shea sweepstakes. One winner will take the mound to throw out the first pitch August 21st. To enter, go to ducnhd.com. Delgado gets under one to center field, and Wynn is there. And so Matt Cain wins his way through 7 innings and keeps his team in the game after a difficult start. Joe Smith on to try and protect the lead as we go to the 8th at Shea.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Sterling Mats and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling Mats.
Time to check out our Toyota scoreboard. The Nationals, after getting shut out 2 straight nights, lead the Dodgers tonight 6-3 in the 6th. Ryan Zimmerman with a home run. Greg Maddux and Sean Chacon in a pitcher's duel in Pittsburgh. The Astros trying to snap a 10-game losing streak, and they lead the Reds 4-0. Carlos Lee with a couple of RBIs. Marlins on top of the Brewers behind Wes Obermueller, and the Cardinals playing at Colorado.
Well, Joe Smith in for the Mets, got a win in the opening game of this series, but he allowed a run in that 12th inning. 2-0, 1.59, 25 appearances, is #1 amongst National League rookies.
Fred Lewis leads off in the 8th inning, and he takes a strike. Lewis has taken a call 3rd strike and grounded out to 2nd. Been a tough go for Lewis since that cycle that he hit for in Colorado. Now 4 for his last 33. El Duque allowed hits to the first 2 batters he faced, a single to Randy Wynn, a triple to Omar Vizquel, and then he faced 21 more batters and retired 20 of them. Line to right center, a base hit for Lewis. Chavez can't cut it off cleanly, and so Lewis will pull into second base. Scored a double for Fred Lewis.
We see Chavez after that long run just eludes the tip of his glove. It would have been hard pressed to get Lewis, who can fly those long strides. He was thinking too the entire time as he takes advantage of that little bobble.
So the first hit for the Giants since the first inning. And now the tying run at the plate, Pedro Feliz, who's popped up and flied out, and he takes a strike. Feliz 2 for 10 in this series at the big night last night, driving in all 3 runs in a 3-0 Giants win. The Mets took a 4-2 lead in this game in the second and certainly had plenty of chances to add to their lead. But Matt Cain was able to hold them at bay, and so it's a small lead for Willie Randolph's bullpen to protect for the final 6 outs. Feliz breaks his bat. Wright has to avoid the bat, play the ball, and he throws out Feliz. David had to hesitate to make sure that that barrel wasn't going to nab him.
Well, which comes first, the bat or the ball? Well, we'll let the ball go, Olay, and then we'll get the ball and make the play.
And once he made the play, he made the throw perfectly. And that seems to be the case with David. When he doesn't have time to think, his throws are perfect. Now here's Kevin Franson, the number 8 hitter. He's flied out twice. Well, we were talking earlier about Armando Benitez and the fact that he's being held out last night and tonight. The San Francisco Chronicle is now reporting that a deal has been completed to trade Benitez. Details to follow. 0-2 to Franson. You know what the telltale sign was? After the 12-inning game that Benitez committed the balks, gave up the home run, Bochy was asked after the game whether Benitez was still his closer, and he hesitated. And that hesitation, I guess, told the whole story.
Yeah.
So it looks like Armando is moving on. 0-2 to Franson. Tap to second. One hopper. Easley has time. 2 away. Lewis moves over to third. So 2 out. Let's check in with the studio baseball night in New York update and Chris Connor.
All right, guys, Marlins are hot. Brewers are not. Top 3 tied at 1. Hanley Ramirez is up. Runners on second and third. It's the always exciting sacrifice fly. Alfredo Amezaga scores. Marlins lead 2-1 in the bottom. It's now 3-2, actually. Milwaukee's taking the lead in the top of the 5th.
All right, thanks, Chris. Dan Ortmeyer, who started the first 2 games of this series, pinch hits for Matt Cain. Ortmeyer, who homered off Oliver Perez on Tuesday night. Switch hitter who bat left-handed here, hit the home run off Perez right-handed to right field. So Cain is done, and now Ortmeyer takes the off-speed pitch for ball 1. Kevin Correa up in the Giants bullpen. Fouled off the foot of Ortmeyer, and it's 1-1. Benny Cholk alongside Correa. Well, Cain gave up 10 hits over 7 innings, but was able to limit the damage and keep his team in the game. And it's remarkable how much that performance mirrors his first against the Mets. 1-2 to Ortmeyer.
Well, it's a solid line, especially all the infield base hits that you noted, Gary, off him. He stayed tough, held the Mets down, kept his team in the game.
Now Joe Smith trying to do the same. Breaking ball in there for a call, strike 3. Joe Smith gets Ortmeyer looking at the slider and strands Lewis after a leadoff double. 4-2 New York. Time to answer our Aflac trivia question for tonight. We asked you who was the only Met catcher to lead the league in average for a calendar month. Your answer? The Dude.
Self-named Bad Dude.
He was the dude. John Stearns. Joe Smith after a successful inning.
He's just so refreshing, isn't he? Just to be around.
That last pitch he threw to Ortmeyer, that was sweet.
Oh, it's unhittable.
David Wright swings through Vinny Cholk's first pitch.
Vinny Cholk in his last outing, he did something you don't see very many relievers do. Recorded 3 outs on 3 pitches for a perfect inning. He was involved in a trade with Shea Hildebrand coming over from Toronto when Shea Hildebrand had some comments. John Gibbons didn't appreciate them, wrote something on the board. I mean, Shea Hildebrand did, and Gibbons in a team meeting challenged Shea Hildebrand to a fight.
Wright lifts one down the right field line, and that'll sail out of play. Well, Gibby's not afraid to speak his mind, as we found out again last night.
He was my teammate. He was what a great guy he was. And if not for an injury in spring training, things might have been different here. He would have been the starting catcher and was an outstanding player. Just that one injury made him a manager.
Well, you can look at it this way. If John Gibbons hadn't gotten hurt, would Gary Carter be here?
It was always whether Gibby could hit enough, because defensively, I have to rank him up there with at least one of the top 3 guys I've ever thrown to. So defensively, it was great. It was always whether he hit enough. And I'd have to say that I don't think we got the production out of Gibby that the Mets got out of Gary Carter, of course, the Hall of Famer.
David Wright 2 for 3 tonight. Doubled off the fence in left center in the first. Had a squib infield hit in the third. Cholk misses at 93 miles an hour, 1-2. If you could only bottle what he has. 2-2. I mean, he plays every day for 9 innings, and even between innings, he never stops. You could pile AAA batteries on top of each other and not get that kind of power. I mean, he's beyond the Energizer Bunny.
Oh, yes, way past it.
You know, Sosa and Franco have lots of time on their hands to go back the other way. This guy's playing a game.
This is the kind of inning. I know Willie Randolph on the bench, you usually say to yourself and as a team, hey, let's play for 1. Let's get a run. 1 more run here. Somehow get someone on base, get him around. Do some little things to just eke out 1 more run.
It's been a long turn at bat for Wright. This is the 9th pitch, and the breaking ball in there for a call, 3rd strike. So Cholk gets the better of Wright. 1 down in the last of the 8th.
Good slider by Cholk. Late break. I think David Wright thought that pitch was up. Not to be for home plate umpire Sam Holbrook.
Be sure to take mass transit to Shea tomorrow night for the start of the weekend series with the Diamondbacks. Then Ryan Howard and the Phillies come to town Tuesday for a 3-game set. Go to Mets.com now for your print at home tickets. Here's Duque, who has gone hitless tonight. That's been a rare event. Billy Wagner, who hasn't blown a save in a dog's age, will be looking to convert another one tonight. He's saved so many in a row, I've lost track now.
It's 30, isn't it?
30 in a row now, going back to last year. Unbelievable. I mean, it's not Eric Gagne just yet. What did Gagne have? 84 in a row?
Oh, unbelievable.
Mets will take on the defending Cy Young Award winner, Brandon Webb. John Maine, who had a nice bounce back effort in his last start. That's your pitching matchup tomorrow night. The Diamondbacks will come in with a 7-game winning streak. Seems to me, though, they were pretty hot when the Mets arrived in Arizona for their first series. A cue shot past the mound, and Franzen throws out Duque, 2 away.
Well, just think of the pitchers the Mets have faced now at this homestand. Lincecum, Zito, Matt Cain, Brandon Webb, the reigning Cy Young winner from last year. Hernandez, who's gotten off to a quick start at 5-2. Well, I tell you, I said in the pregame, takes the ball every single start. Goes out there, pitches 225, 230, which is a huge number now as far as innings pitched.
Damion Easley 2 for 3, takes the slider off the plate. Easley doubled down the left field line and then had an infield single off the pitcher's glove. Well, Zito was great last night, and you know the easy thing to say is, oh, look at what he did. The Mets should have signed him.
No.
But I think the Mets are very happy with what they have in their starting pitching now and what they've got lined up for the future.
Well, they had to replace him with Oliver Perez, who has been better than Zito so far this year.
1-2 to Easley.
I hate to admit it, but starting pitchers have way too much time on their hands. I was one of them.
On 1-2, Easley lays off, and it's 2-2. We mentioned it earlier. Jose Valentin played his second game on rehab tonight down in extended spring. 5 innings in the field, and then the rest of the game at DH. So he played 3 innings last night, 5 innings tonight. And it looks like Valentin could be back by the start of the Phillies series on Tuesday. Easley pops it up. In from third comes Feliz. And the side retired, so a 1-2-3 inning for Vinny Chalk. The Energizer Bunny will go back to his position, and Billy Wagner will try and shut it down for the Mets in the 9th.
I'm Kenny Choi. Coming up on Geico Sports Night, the always entertaining National Spelling Bee. We'll have all the highlights. Now back to Gary and Ron.
This week, an all-new episode of Kids Clubhouse is all about pitching as Amanda learns about pickoffs and fielding the position. Plus 10 questions with Pedro Feliciano. The Emmy-winning Mets Kids Clubhouse is all new Saturday at 11:30 a.m. only on SNY. Full moon over Shea. And Billy Wagner will try and make it 31 straight converted saves. He's 12 for 12 this season. Randy Wynn leads off in the 9th inning, and he takes inside, and Wagner well knows what's ahead of him. You got Wynn, Vizquel, and Aurelia, and if anybody gets on, that means Bonds. Wagner working with a 2-run lead. 1-1 to Wynn. The Giants have had only 3 hits tonight. Wynn led off the game with a single to center, stole second, scored on Vizquel's triple. Vizquel scored on Aurelia's sacrifice fly, and the Giants have not scratched since. Bonds hoping for a turn against Wagner here in the 9th. Popped up, foul. And that goes into the seats.
Randy Wynn is one of those guys, Gary, that you don't think about too much, but the more I see him play, if you see him play 150 games a year, he's a good player. Solid in the outfield, good switch hitter.
Runs, got a little bit of power.
And plays the game right.
Wagner ahead 1-2. Just off the plate, 2-2. Now, if you're Wagner and you're coming into this game, are you thinking about Bonds right now?
He'll tell you no. Absolutely are. You want to get through this 9th inning 1-2-3.
Wynn lifts one foul. Of course, they had a memorable confrontation last year in San Francisco.
That's how large his presence looms. You cannot ever forget about where he is in the lineup.
Struck him out. Wagner going low with the fastball to strike out Wynn. 1 away.
Well, that was the key, Gary. You made the call. It's down. This ball's up to Wynn. He can handle it, but see how he's going to have to go down with that swing of his that's very top-handed, and he cannot catch up to that inside fastball.
So 1 out in the 9th. And now Vizquel tripled back in the first, since then has grounded into a double play and bounced to short. 1-0 to Vizquel. Vizquel 1 for 8 in his career against Wagner. Rich Aurelia out on deck. 4-2 New York, 9th inning. Vizquel pops it up. Duque hoping for a play. 2 out. Duque had to be mindful of the stands and the corner railing in the dugout.
See the look of those eyes, seeing where he could go to, and just timed it perfectly as he cut that ball right before he hit the fence.
So now the Giants are down to their final out. And if Wagner can get Aurelia, he can avoid facing Bonds. Aurelia sack fly back in the first, otherwise 0 for 2. Fouled back. That's the best cut that Aurelia's had since he was involved in that collision with Beltran. That came back in the second inning, knocked Beltran out of the game with a bruised knee. Aurelia, who took a forearm in his back and shoulder, stayed in the game. 0-2. Nasty slider for Wagner.
Just down and in, biting slider, late break. Misses that by 6 inches.
The Giants down to their final strike. Just missed. 1-2.
Oh, I love Wagner when he pitches in and outside, uses both sides of the plate. Had that 0-2 count, could afford to be 2-3 inches outside, trying to get Aurelia to go after it.
Just missed again, this time inside. It's 2-2. Going with the slider now?
I think so. Fastball away, fastball in, slider down and in. Although I don't think he wants to go 3-2 to Aurelia.
He struck him out, and the ball game is over. Wagner gets him 1-2-3 in the ninth and strands Bonds on deck. The Mets take the rubber game of 3 from the Giants. Masterful pitching by El Duque, and Wagner seals the deal.
Well, Wagner's 31st consecutive save. El Duque with those 6 hitless innings after the 2 runs in the first. 19-9, the Mets as they close out May.
And Barry Bonds exits Shea Stadium, perhaps for the last time. The Mets take 2 out of 3 from the Giants. They got 4 runs in the first 2 innings against Matt Cain. Hernandez, Smith, and Wagner made it stand up. Reyes was all over this one as the Mets stretched their lead back to 4.5 games over the Atlanta Braves. El Duque with the win, got some run support tonight. Wagner, 31 consecutive converted saves, and the Mets with all 8 series victories against non-NL East teams. Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Nissan of the next generation, Nissan Altima. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. By Hummer, visit Hummer.com to check out the H3 Hummer like nothing else. By City, let's get it done. And by IO Digital Cable, the leaders in HD and presenting sponsor of the Mets in high definition. The UC in HD. This week on Mets Weekly, we'll go inside the pitching staff with special profiles of young hurlers Oliver Perez and John Maine. It's an all-new Mets Weekly at a special time, Saturday at noon, exclusively on SNY. Let's get to the results of our SNY text poll tonight. We asked, do you think Bud Selig should be in attendance when Barry Bonds breaks the all-time home run record? Boy, that's interesting. 50-50 split. Of course, the longer he goes, stuck 9 behind, you have to say if he breaks the home run record. Mets win it 4-2 to take the rubber game of the series from the Giants. Back with more from Shea in just a moment. Coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night after Nissan Postgame Live, we'll take a look at the Jets. What is it? Optional training exercises? Anyway, another Yankees injury, and we'll go inside the Mets clubhouse for reaction after the Mets 4-2 win tonight. This was after the game, and Rick Peterson and Willie Randolph, a little discussion in the dugout. And given the way the game went tonight, not quite certain what that could be about. But Willie got a little animated. Check out our Panasonic Plasma replay. Panasonic for the speed of sports. Mets played small ball tonight, and that was part of it. Endy Chavez with a 2-out bunt single that plated the final Met run tonight. That came in the second inning. And the Mets made those runs stand up in a 4-2 win over the Giants tonight as El Duque settled in after a rough first inning and pitched another gem, allowing just 2 hits over 7 for his 3rd win of the year. Tomorrow night, we'll join you at 7 o'clock. Mets and Diamondbacks open a 3-game series. Diamondbacks a red-hot team coming in. Coming up, Nissan post-game live. El Duque took the mound tonight for the first time at Shea in over a month. And after a rough first inning, he had a great night. David Wright barely missed a home run. He had a couple of hits. Mets had 5 infield hits in this game among their 10 hits, as they played small ball and wonderful defense to help El Duque to a 4-2 win. Billy Wagner picked up his 31st consecutive save as the Mets take the rubber game from the Giants. Now for Ron Darling and Kevin Burkhardt, I'm Gary Cohen saying so long from Shea Stadium. We'll see you here tomorrow night.
Welcome to Nissan Post Game Live, along with Lee Mazzilli. I'm Chris Cotter. Mets 4-2 winners tonight, Lee, and I guess you got to look at El Duque and say, really, 2 great starts since coming off the DL, 4 great starts in a row.
Yeah, and his last start against the Marlins as well. He gave up a hit his first at-bat and then went on to pitch 6 great innings. And then tonight, his first 2 at-bats, he gave up a hit, a couple runs, and then settled down through 7 innings. And, 95 pitches, just did a great job. And, El Duque, like we talked in the beginning of the show, is a guy that they can count on going down the stretch.
All right, let's send it to Ron Darling out at Shea Stadium. And Ron, let's continue with this El Duque talk. And I heard you say in the first inning you really looked uncomfortable out there, and you start to say to yourself at that point, it could be a long night. We've seen it from El Duque, but he really settled down.
Well, I think a couple things happened. I think he was just a little stiff. He could not get loose, and he just tried to get through that first inning. He got through it, giving up a couple of runs after 19 scoreless innings. But after his job tonight, 26 innings now, have only given up 2 runs. And I think the thing that really happened for him is that the Mets came right back and scored 2 more. And I think 2 more to tie it. And I think sometimes for a starting pitcher, that can really energize you and invigorate you. That, hey, you struggled in that first inning, but your team came right back. It's 0-0 in your own mind. You can go back to work.
Hey, Ronnie, you said early on in the game, I was listening to you saying that he was up, his body was up, and he had to make an adjustment to get the ball down. How does he go? Is he go back in the clubhouse, or does the pitching coach, or what does he do to make that adjustment if he can? Obviously, he did tonight.
Well, physically, if you're stiff, then sometimes you can take one of the trainers, go back in the locker room, and get a new stretch and maybe alleviate their problem. If you just do not feel very good out there, I think you have to go back to basics and his mechanics. And what he did do, which I really like to see, is that he kind of slowed down his motion, and he kind of sat, that high leg kick, he sat on his back foot just a little longer so he could get his arm out in front. And once he did that, ball was down in the strike zone. The slider was a lot sharper. And I think, it's just a veteran. That doesn't always happen for young pitchers. They don't find that. Look, Matt Cain pitched a wonderful game today, gave up 2 runs in the first, but another 2 in the second until he found where he wanted to be. El Duque was able to fix it after 1 inning.
All right, Ronnie, in the outfield, Beltran is out for any extended period of time. What will the outfield look like?
Well, I think, defensively, it doesn't get any better than Gomez in center and Chavez and, Ben Johnson getting some work, of course. But I think the problem you're going to have is that, can Gomez hit enough, for his last 17? And I think he's up there just feeling for it a little bit, which will happen to any young player. But defensively, he's great. I think the Mets just hope Beltran just has a little bruise or a little twist of that knee, so that he'll be back in 1 or 2 days. But, you know, that's a big loss if you lose Beltran. You know, it's a drop-off from Beltran to Gomez at this point in the young man's career.
Yeah, as you saw, Beltran hurt running to first base early in the game. We'll have a little bit more on that coming up. Ronnie, Joe Smith as well. His last time out, he gave up his first earned run of his young Major League career. So for him to bounce back tonight and be as dominant as he was tonight and to kind of get out of an early jam, that has to be a good sign, too.
Well, I think it is a good sign, and I think Joe Smith has just been fantastic. Heard Omar Minaya talk about that third-round draft pick and how valuable he's been to this team. He's fit in with the team. His teammates enjoy him not only on the field because of his excellence, but off the field also. And that backdoor breaking ball he threw to Ortmeyer is just unhittable. And when you have a young man who has unhittable stuff at times, he can be dominating in those important innings, 7th, 8th, and sometimes 9th.
All right, real quickly, Ronnie, tomorrow's probables, John Maine going for the Mets. He's another guy who last outing, fantastic, so he looks like he's right back on tracking the sinker ball or Webb for the Diamondbacks. Always a lot of ground balls with him.
Well, Brandon Webb has pitched well against the Mets. He just has had no luck. The Diamondbacks have not scored when he's taken them out and won the Cy Young last year. So the Mets are just facing dominating pitchers every single night. And, of course, John Maine, who pitches well at home with the home cooking, seems to have gotten back on track with that performance in Florida. So it's going to be a good matchup, and the Mets are going to try to scratch out some runs like they did tonight and try to continue that streak. Now, the last 11 series, they've won 9 of them.
Absolutely, getting it done. Thanks, Ronnie. Appreciate it.
All right, guys,
Hey,
take
Ron,
care.
Take care.
All right, Ronnie Darling from the park. Just real quickly on Joe Smith. You know, we're talking with Ronnie about that. Coming back after really his only rough spot of the whole entire season for a young pitcher like that. It's really impressive.
Yeah, and tonight he gave up the double, first batter. And then, you know, he got 1 out. And now Willie had Feliciano up in a pen. He had Altmaier come up in that situation. Now, he was the tying run. So Willie let him pitch. Now, he could have went to Feliciano. He did not. He showed me something, letting him stay in a game. That's a good confidence build for Joe Smith. This kid's done a great job for him.
Mets 4-2 winners tonight over the Giants. They take the series. A whole lot more to come on Nissan Postgame Live, which is presented in high definition by IO Digital Cable, the leader in HD. Do you see in HD? All right, let's go inside the game. Giants and Mets. Final game of the 3-game set. El Duque on the mound for the Mets. It's the rubber game, trying to take the series. First batter, Randy Wynn. Singles up the middle to lead off the top of the first. Next batter is Omar Vizquel. Now, Wynn steals second base, and Vizquel takes his 3-2 pitch, hung by El Duque to the gap in right center. Wynn comes in to score. Vizquel is going to round second base and is going to head for third, trying to get his first triple of the season, and he slides in safely. Giants with an early 1-0 lead. Following batter, Richard Relia flies one to right field. Endy Chavez now getting behind it in good position to try and throw out Vizquel. Not quite as speedy as he used to be, but and it's 2-0 Giants. Barry Bonds now coming up to bat. El Duque gets Bonds to pop straight up the chimney. The shift was on, but Wright has plenty of time to get over the third base line and squeeze it for the second out. Benji Molina's been tearing it up lately, not so this time. El Duque strikes him out, ends the inning. Bottom 1, Jose Reyes leading things off for the Mets. Draws a lead-off walk, and that is not what you want to do. Endy Chavez at the plate, and Reyes takes off, steals second easily as Molina bobbles the throw at Reyes' 29th stolen base. After Chavez ground out, Beltran grounds out the second. Great play by Kevin Franzen. Now look at the throw to first base. You can see Richard really colliding. Take a couple of looks at it here. And this is just a case of wrong place, wrong time.
Exactly. There's really nothing you can do to really avoid that right there.
Beltran would come out of the game limping a little bit. Mets would cut the lead to 2-1. After Delgado flies out, David Wright hits this one high and deep to left. Looks like it might go out. It doesn't, but Wynn really misplays it, and it's off the wall.
I don't know what Randy Wynn was looking at. He was looking one way, and the ball was the other way, about 2 feet away.
2 feet away from him. He can't make the play. We are tied at 2 after the RBI double. Now, in between innings, you mentioned Carlos Beltran, walking gingerly on that leg, and he couldn't come out. You see him shaking his head. No, it's not going to work for me. and he would be evaluated in the clubhouse. It's just a tweak, a bruise. They'll reevaluate again tomorrow. So Carlos Gomez takes over in center. Second inning, runners on second and third, one out for Jose Reyes. And look at that nice piece of hitting. Takes it the other way. The single over Vizquel. Easley scores. Ben Johnson to third. Mets take a 3-2 lead. Chavez at bat now. Reyes takes off, and he is gunned down. Beautiful throw by Molina. Just the 6th time he's been caught stealing this year. Same at bat. Look at this play. Beautiful bunt. Gets the RBI, man.
Well, what a great play. A 2-out bunt right here, and there's 3 things. Easley made a heads-up play knowing that he had to run home on that play. Chavez was a great bunt. But look at Molina. Right there, he vacated his position. There's no chance now to get him at home plate.
Yeah, even in the case of desperation, he's got to get back to home plate.
I meant to say Johnson at third base there.
Johnson scores 4-2 Mets. Top 3 runner on first, one out. El Duque gets Omar Vizquel to ground on the 6-4-3 double play. Bottom 3 now after a 1-out single by Wright. Duque grounding up the middle. Kevin Franzen. These two have been magical all series long. Franzen, the glove flip to Vizquel to get the force out. And after a wild pitch, puts Duque on second. Easley grounding to short to retire the side. Let's go to the 4th now. Top 4, 1 out for Berry. The shift is on, and it's a good thing. That's a base hit in any other alignment. In this case, Easley makes the easy play. Bonds 0 for 2 on the day. Bottom 4 now. Mets at bat. Ben Johnson leading off. He's going to get a lot of playing time now with the outfield as banged up as they are, and he sends this one into left center field. Nice play by Wynn, though, to hold him to a single, his first hit as a Met. After El Duque bunts Johnson to third, Jose Reyes is going to slap this one. Actually, Johnson to second, rather. Reyes gets it to third base, and it's off Pedro Feliz's glove. It's ruled a hit first and third. Then Endy Chavez rounds into the 4-6-3 double play. Very tough to double those 2 out, but the Giants do, and they end the inning. Top 5 now. El Duque on cruise control. Maz, feel free to chime in here. Just these pitches seem to be working. I mean,
he's just in total control of the whole game. He can throw his curveball at any time he wants. That's the confidence he has in that breaking stuff.
Feliz flies out here. Franz in here. As you mentioned, the breaking stuff. Keeping it down, too, as you and Ronnie were talking about after that first inning. 1-2-3 for El Duque. Retired 14 of the last 15 Giant batters he faced. To the 6th, El Duque continues to dominate. Randy Wynn swinging. Omar Vizquel grounds out to Reyes to end the inning. 11 in a row retired by El Duque. Barry Bonds, would he do anything before leaving in this series? This time flying out to Endy in right field. And then El Duque retires the next batter. Molina to pop out to right. 14 batters he faced, retiring the last 14, rather, going 7 innings, allowing only 2 runs, 2 hits, none of which occurred after the first. 8th inning, top 8, Joe Smith on the mound. Fred Lewis leading off the inning, and he's going to line this one into right center field. Lewis has great speed, and the mishandle by Chavez means Lewis easily gets into second base. So a little bit of trouble for Joe Smith early. Next batter, though, Pedro Feliz breaks his bat. Look at David Wright on this play.
Yeah, that's a good play on David Wright, because you have to really stay with that play and not give in. And you know what? One day someone's going to get hurt with a flying bat like that. But that's a good play by David Wright. Concentrated.
Yeah,
right
great
there.
concentration. To first avoid the bat and then reconcentrate on the ball to make the play. Then Smith striking out Daniel Ortmeyer to end the inning. We go to the 9th. Billy Wagner looking for the save. First batter, he strikes out when swinging. Next batter, Omar Vizquel, straight up the chute. Paul Duque tracking, trying to avoid the fans, and does so and makes the catch. Outstanding play. 2 outs. With Bonds waiting on deck, representing the tying run, Wagner wants to get Rich Aurilia, and he does. Gets him swinging. 13th save of the season. Mets go on to win by a 4-2 score. As I mentioned, Wagner with the save. El Duque improves to 3-1 on the year. He still only has that 1 bad outing on April 14th. Other than that, he has been sensational. Reyes with a big night. David Wright with a big night as well. And Beltran had the RBI single in the first before going out with the injury. I'm sure much more on him coming up tomorrow. I mentioned Billy Wagner with his 13th save. Let's send it out to Shea Stadium, where Kevin Burkhardt caught up with the Mets closer afterward.
Billy, when you come into the game there, are you thinking about Bonds? Are you thinking about how important it is to get the first 3 guys out, not so you don't have to face him in a key spot there?
Really, you just want to go out there and get the first guy you see, and if Barry gets up there, then I enjoy the challenge. I mean, I faced him a dozen times. He's got me once, and I've got him a few times, so I enjoy the battle. You can't sit there and say, I'm going to try not to pitch this guy and go right at. Next thing you know, you got 2 guys on and Barry up, so you just got to go right at these guys, and if, good Lord willing, you're able to get through those 3 and not have to face Barry. But, it's exciting. I love what Barry brings to the game. I know that when I face him, there's a love there because I'm going to go right at him, and I know that he's ready.
31 consecutive converted saves for you. How much pride do you take in that?
Well, I don't know. I try not to think about it because I have to go out there so many times. It's just you just go out there and try to worry about the moment instead of worrying about what you have done. You're only as good as your last game, and you just try to keep going out there and throwing strikes and trying to get people out.
How does the crowd fire you up? I mean, I know that's a generic type of question, but I mean, you come in here at midweek and there's 45,000 people here.
Yeah, I mean, that does help. I mean, and you're playing the Giants, and we needed this game. We need to take the series, and what Duque went out there and did, and how we managed to score our runs and battle. That was enough incentive. But when you throw 45,000 people on your back, and they're rooting for you, it's a big lift.
Can you appreciate what Duque's been able to do? The fact that he was on the disabled list for a month. He's come back and he's allowed a grand total of 4 hits.
Well, I tell you, that's pretty impressive. I mean, the guy, he's a workaholic. I mean, when he's hurt, and that guy works hard. And to see him come out here, it's just, it just shows how hard he's worked to get back and how good he really is.
Billy, congrats on the save. Thanks.
Hey, thanks a lot.
All right, thanks, gentlemen. Today's save of the game brought to you by the Queens County Savings Bank, a member of the NYCB family of banks. Top 9, Giants down 4-2. No one on 2 outs. Wagner striking out Richie Really, swinging the Mets with a 4-2 win. As we mentioned, Wagner's 17th save of the season. Maz, when we were watching the game, we were talking about it, going right after Aurelia, and that 3-2 pitch. He threw the pitch that he
we talked about that too, and you can't afford to go to 3-2 because now you're going to really be shaky on that 3-2 pitch. You have to throw a command pitch on that 2-2 pitch because you don't want to get to that situation. And listen, Wagner, you have to love him. He said he's going to go right after Bonds, but you still have to look over your shoulder and say, you know what? There's 700 home runs over there. You got to worry about him as well. But Wagner did a great job tonight. Yeah,
he decides to go after Richie Really with the heat, and he gets Richie Really, and he gets the 13th save in a row for him. 31st straight, going all the way back to last season. It's an impressive number. Still a lot more to come here on Nissan Post Game Live. We'll let you hear from Willie. Carlos Beltran will join us in a little bit as well, talk about his injury, and tonight's winning pitcher, El Duque. Keep it here. Still more to come here on Nissan Post Game Live, but first we bring in Lou Tilley for a look at what's ahead on Geico Sports Night. Lou?
Thank you. We'll get it underway in about a half hour, and we'll do all of your New York sports as we do every night on Geico Sports Night, the late edition. We'll have more on the whole A-Rod fiasco. Lightning Rod will look back on some of his tougher days, plus the Yankees with another tough day, and they didn't even play. Jason Giambi lost to injury this time, they say, for 3 weeks or more. What will they do to make do? We'll discuss that, and also some football in town. Jets began their OTAs today. We'll hear from Chad Pennington and Eric Mangini and other of the new members of Gang Green. And we'll also talk some football and get you up to date on the NBA and the NHL and more when Kenny Choi joins me for Geico Sports Night. Right now, back to Lou, Chris and Lee. You write it, I'll read it.
If you want, you can swap with me here. You can sit up here if you want, Lou. Hey, Carlos Beltran got hurt on this play early in the game. The collision in first place with Richie Really. It looked like at first Really got the worst end of it, but he didn't. Beltran had to leave the game in between innings, could not go back out into the field. And here's Willie Randolph with the latest on his center fielder.
I know you guys are going to ask, so give you a heads up on Carlos. He has a knee contusion. He said he felt okay, but we're going to get him an MRI as a precaution and see how he feels tomorrow after he comes back.
Well, it looked like Duque, was laboring in the first inning and maybe was going to have a tough night, and then all of a sudden he was just on cruise control. What changed after that first inning?
Well, sometimes you just got to get in your rhythm. Duque's like that sometimes. I didn't think he had his real good breaking ball early in the game. It was a little cool, a little windy tonight, and I think he always feels a little bit better when it's a little tacky and humid, a little warm, so he can get a little a little feel for it. But I thought he was struggling with his curveball a little bit early, and once he settled in and got his feel going, he was lights out.
Well, do you have any outfielders left somewhere?
Yeah, we all right. We'll find somebody. Yeah, we're okay. I mean, maybe hopefully Carlos will be okay, and just be maybe just a little bruise or whatever. But yeah, we'll find a way. We'll be all right.
Will you tell how he got hurt? Did he just land on that?
It was bang bang, man. It was just, they kind of got tangled up for a second, so I'm not exactly sure, how it happened.
Well, do you take pride, when you play 2 series against the Giants and you really keep Bonds' damage to a minimum? I mean, does that excite you as a manager of how your pitchers handle him?
No, because I don't go into the game, overly concerned about one guy. Barry Bonds, obviously someone you have to pay attention to, but no, he's just part of the team. I mean, you go in thinking about just Barry, and other guys hurt you, so we're going to stay with our game plan, pitch the way we pitch, and like I always say, just never put him in a position where he can hurt you, hopefully. But no, I don't take any satisfaction out of that. It's just nice to be able to keep all the hitters at bay and just get the job done, and our pitchers have done a good job overall against the Giants. And like I said, Duque did a great job tonight.
With Duque throwing more pitches and another inning further than he did last time, what kind of indicator do you think that is of his health?
It doesn't really mean much. I think with a Duque, I think he feels right now he gets a certain point in pitches, and I went to him, asked him how he felt. He said he was done. So, I guess with him, he's still feeling like he wants to work his way into the type of shape or stamina he wants to be in, and that's the way it is. But yeah, his pitches were, he was efficient with his pitches early. So obviously, you get into the 7th inning, anytime anybody can give us length, it's always good. So, he's getting stronger and stronger, feeling better and better, and again, he's pitched another great game for us.
Anything else, guys?
Willie, Jose was in both rallies. Is his uniqueness that he can manufacture that run, or he can drive it in, when you guys need him to?
Yeah, he's one of those guys that can beat you in any way possible, and if it's not creating havoc, he's being patient, getting on base, and he can also take you deep. He's one of those guys that just brings a lot of things to the table, and glad he's on my side. That's for sure.
Endy bunting there, that's all him. That's all on his own.
Yeah, that's a big part of his game. It's the beauty of Endy. He can beat you in many ways, and just again, as another smart play of taking advantage of his skills.
How valuable is that, knowing that he can bunt whenever he wants, anytime?
It's always value when guys can do things that bring the versatility to the table. You like most of your players to be as rounded as they can, and that's why Endy's so valuable to us.
Did Duque throw fewer curveballs after the first inning, and he make an adjustment, or did the curveball just start to?
No, well, he uses fastball a lot. I don't think that, sometimes it takes you a while to get the feel for it, He uses curveball effectively, threw some sliders and dropped down different angles, typical of Duque. But it just seemed like in the first inning or two, he just was really trying to find his grip and his rhythm.
If Carlos has to sit any of the game or two, is that the alignment you'd keep in there, you think, tomorrow?
Oh, we'll see. We'll see, man. Easy can play the outfield. Still got go time. We got guys who can play.
All right, you heard from the manager. Let's go into the victorious clubhouse. The Mets won 4-2 today, but they may have lost Carlos Beltran, their center fielder. Let's hear from Carlos right now after he injured his leg in the first inning in the win over the Giants.
But how did you feel like? When did that happen? Did it happen when you stepped on the base there, trying to avoid Aurelia?
After the base, when I was trying to avoid the collision with Aurelia, when I passed the bag, I felt like all my weight went to my right knee, and I felt like I hyperextended, and I felt pain, and I got a little bit scared because, I was in a lot of pain, but I decided to stay, try to finish the inning and maybe play some defense, but I couldn't play defense because my leg was getting weak. So told Willie just take me out of the game, and when I came in here, just was kind of swollen a little bit, but the pain went away, so that's a good thing. Tomorrow, we're gonna have an MRI to see what I might have there. Hopefully I just hope nothing wrong is with my knee, so I just can get that as soon as I can to start playing the game.
Did that collision really have nothing to do with it?
No.
This is the type of thing, you know, Moises has made sure he stayed out till he's 100% because the team is winning. Is this the type of thing that if you feel 50-50 tomorrow, will you sit out or will you try and play?
Well, you know, if I come here and I feel like I can see it in my leg and my leg feels stronger than what it feels right now, yeah, I mean, I've been playing for a month with a little bit of tendonitis, and that's tendonitis, one of those things where, you know, one day you feel good, next day you feel not too good. But I mean, if I feel like I can play, of course I'll be there. You know, I prefer to be in the field than sitting in the bench.
All right, Maz, put yourself in Willie Randolph's shoes for a second here. Carlos Beltran hurts himself in the first inning, stays on the base paths, but then in between innings decides he can't go out into the field. Your thinking right now is, boy, I held out Moises Alou long enough. Do I hold out Beltran too until he is exactly 100%?
Without a doubt. For me, he doesn't play tomorrow or the next day right now. I think the Mets are in good shape. They got enough outfielders to play. They're in first place. There's no reason to jeopardize anything with Beltran right now to where it could be a major, major injury where you're out 3-4 weeks if he tweaks it tomorrow. So, no, he sits for another day or two for me.
And Ben Johnson got his first hit as a Met tonight, so more good news from the backup outfielders certainly that can fill in that role. All right, El Duque wins 7 strong tonight. We'll hear from him when we come back on Nissan Post Game Live. Bursitis, Schmitis. Is that what Alan Alda might say on MASH? 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, 2 runs earned, a walk, 3 strikeouts, 95 total pitches. El Duque, his second fantastic start since coming off the DL. And he spoke with Kevin Burkhardt and others after the game.
Can you just talk about how you settled down after the first inning and really ended up pitching a very nice game?
No, I think my first inning no is bad. I think the San Francisco is a good team. They have a good lead off of the game. I come back, stay for 7 innings. I throw every pitch. It's good luck. It's good.
Did you make any adjustments after the first?
No, I not saying nothing. It's the same.
Because, were you comfortable the first couple of hitters? You were walking around a lot. It looked like you.
No, it's I feeling same the rest of the game. I think I feeling good before the game. I feeling good in 7 innings. I throw every pitch. I think I repeat too much curve. I throw too much curve for second hitter for Biscay. He hitting good to the center field.
How about Barry? You went right after him.
No, I try for out. I think it's the best hitter in the Major League Baseball. It's a good luck for me. That's it.
So a lot of pitchers try to go around him, but you went right at him and you weren't afraid of him.
Oh, no, I don't understand what he said. It's just too quick. I don't understand.
You threw one more. ¿Ahí tiene miedo con tu confrontación con Barry Bonds?
Him?
No, Barry Bonds.
Him has a scare?
Sí.
No, I don't have an answer. Ask him. I think no. So you think they have a scare? Ask him.
No. I mean, a lot of pitchers try to avoid him. You didn't. You went right at him.
No, everybody throw versus him, but I have a game for in the sun. I throw, but it's the best hitter. Yeah. Everybody try for out, but I think nobody have a scare. Him too. Him is the best hitter. I'm not scared about. I have a lot of camp for and I throw versus him. That's it.
Nissan play of the game takes place in the bottom of the second. Runner on third. Endy. Chavez drops down the perfect bunt. Matt Cain tries to shovel it home, but it sails past Benji Molina. Ben Johnson scores RBI for Endy Chavez. Mets go on to win 4-2. Diamondbacks come into town for a 3-game set this weekend. Maz, Brandon Webb, that sinker ball pitcher Gets almost all of his outs on ground ball outs. So might be a little bit of small ball tomorrow for the Mets. The Mets will counter with John Maine, who has been outstanding this year. A couple of starts where he took a step back, but he certainly rebounded his last
couple
night.
of hiccups, yeah, but I think the last outing in Florida, he went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, and struck out 8. So, you know what, he's finding his way right now. And, you know, a young pitcher, you're going to get a couple of hiccups during the season. He's bounced back very well, so look for good things from John Maine.
Carlos Beltran may or may not play tomorrow. The leg injury in the first inning tonight. And if he can't go, it's been okay for the Mets because you put Chavez out there. You certainly have Gomez. You have Ben Johnson as well. So they're taken care of. 4-2, the Mets take the game and the series from the Giants. Thanks for watching. Geico Sports Night comes your way next.